evening, glorious listeners. Ben's looking at me as if I'm just going to fall asleep, but I am not. I am excited. So, Ben and I are together again. Good evening, Ben.
We've never done this before, not twice in a row.
I know, I'm going to need medication. Absolutely. So, thank you for joining us. Episode 38. Can you believe? Pretty awesome. So, if you've been here since the start, thank you so much. And if you've just joined us, thank you so much as well. As ever, we are first going to go straight into the hobby desk. Ben's been churning things out once again. And I have done a bit of stuff as well. We've got a bit to chat about and a bit more. Moving into Galaxy of War. So we've seen some great stuff from the Heresy weekend today. And Ben has put up what Grammy award winning. Is it Grammy? Is that video award?
I've no idea, actually.
I don't know.
Oscar.
Let's go Oscar award winning. There we go. Yeah, this is still going to be funny even after taking all this time. Oscar award winning video footage unboxing of Urban Conquest. And we're going to have a chat about that. And into the mortal realms. So Ben has now got his hands on the Gloomspite Gitz, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
And I have madly signed up to go to another event where I'm hoping not to come last again. So we'll talk a little bit about my army list. Quite why you'd want to hear that, I don't know, but you might be able to give me some pointers. In the community,
all the help you can get.
Yes, I do. Yes. In the community, this episode we've got a really cool interview with Jon Askham, organizer of big wargaming convention, come tournament, come awesome chill out weekend coming up in Bristol in July. And then lastly, it's the wilds, and we'll decide what we're going to talk about there as time goes on. You ready?
I am ready.
Let's go on the hobby desk.
Hi guys, and welcome to the hobby desk.
Skulls, 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 skulls.
Are you feeling like withdrawal symptoms because you haven't painted anything Khorne in?
Skulls!
You have.
No, I started.
I
started. Anyway, back to your introduction to the section.
I've kind of completely
Skulls!
Right, anyone got like a spare co-host kicking around?
Coffee and skulls!
Imagine Khorne on coffee. Eesh. So we've been a bit busy. You've finished your scuttlings and started your
Flesh hounds.
Flesh hounds.
So, proper dogs of 40k fancy site. Anyway, the thing is all these jokes about dogs and puppies, they're actually space wolves, aren't they? They're wolves.
What are?
Space wolves. I always make jokes about dogs and puppies, and
but
it's nothing to do with that.
No, they are wolves.
So anyway, moving on, I have started some flesh hounds, and I finished my scuttlings, and I finished my gaunt summoner. The scuttlings sort of
took you a lot longer than you thought, didn't they?
Yeah.
Why?
I think two things. I think I got sucked in to this idea that I could paint loads of stuff really quickly, because I had done when I had a whole week off work. And actually, when you go back to work, there isn't as much time. No. So that was why. One. And also there was 8 of them. And I don't know what it was. It was like some mental thing. Because I said, didn't I was only going to paint batches of 5. And I was like, well, I might as well just do 8, because there are only 8 of them, and they are small. But I think it just affected me, made me a bit twitchy. I was like, ooh. Mind you, I should have an affinity with the number 8, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I was literally just about to say that.
It's very strange.
I was hoping you'd be proud of me for remembering that 8 had something to do with Khorne, but
I think also, because I came away, didn't I? Because I was down here. And I had this idea that I would just keep painting anyway. And it was actually harder to do that than I thought it would be.
I find it really, really hard to go away on holiday and do hobby. You've got to take stuff with you, and then you've got to sort of carve time out, and really you're on holiday to be with other people, and it just ends up being really difficult. And the only time I've ever really been able to do it was Easter a few years ago, where Joe's parents hired a cottage house, and the whole family were there. And so there was periods of time where I could just sit in the morning when no one was up and paint. but I find it really hard.
I found through much hardship that it's important to manage expectations about what a holiday is for. Because we went away once to North Devon, and I had in my head that I was on holiday and going to do some hobby.
Yeah.
And perhaps that was quite naive of me in reality, because I'd gone away with my wife. And this was not an acceptable state of affairs. And it caused a bit of friction. And that sounds ridiculous. And it sounds a bit deep, actually, now that I'm talking about it. And it's all about understanding. But it is about managing expectations. So now when we go away, before we go, we have a chat about what we want.
From your holiday.
And I have to be reasonable as well. I can't just be like, it's a bit easier now because there's Joshua and I love playing with Joshua. Not that I didn't love playing with Harry. But goodness.
Sorry, how you doing down there in your hole, Dan?
Yeah, keep digging. But like, so there's this window in the evenings, like when he goes to bed, which
you used to paint.
I used to paint. And so we're going away again at the end of February. And that's what my intention is. But then equally, I've got, I make sure I'm totally engaged and doing family stuff at other times.
Mm.
There we go. Bit of family podcast stuff there.
Yeah.
Chuck it in. So, yeah, and then I'm on to the flesh hounds. So, base coated them all up real quick. Got the airbrush out. Did a bit of detail work.
How far along are you with them?
I have actually brought them with me, but they're not out in the shed of power. But I've done all the base coats and washed them down. So I'm actually doing the bases now before I finish the model, because sometimes I find when I'm painting, like, you finish the miniature and you haven't done the base, and I get like a bit of a block and I'm like, got to do the base now. But in the past, what I found quite useful is once I've done the washes, because they're the really messy bit, do the base then. And then, like, it feels like a massive step, like, forward, getting the base out of the way, and then I'll do the other bits. But I've got 5 more on the way from bits and kits, because obviously at the moment they're only in that box. Yeah. And it was quite funny, because the email came for the restock, and I was like, hounds are coming. So they're on the way. Depending on the impact of the snow, they shouldn't be too far away. It'd be nice. I'm off Monday at home.
Yeah.
Just me and my brushes. So
cool.
Hopefully
get them done. Yeah.
Anyway, you've done flipping awesome flying ship.
And finished my Dreadnought.
And finished the Dreadnought. Yeah. And I have to say, now that I'm here and I've seen them, they look great in the pictures, but seeing them in they're just brilliant.
Thanks, mate.
They really are good. And I said to you, didn't I, that your Redemptor, you've just got the pose and everything's just come together. I've seen a lot of Redemptors that they don't seem to... I just think people don't always use the posability in the miniature.
Yeah.
And think about the fact that it is a giant...
walking robot.
Fighting robot.
Yeah.
And somehow it just doesn't quite work. But I think it looks ace, and all the sort of directional weathering on the... What is that thing called? Stormfang?
Yeah, Stormfang. That's a Stormfang.
Yeah.
The troop transport one is a Storm Wolf. But I didn't realise that the Stormfang could transport 6 Space Wolves. So actually it's quite... We'll talk about that later, though. But I find with the Dreadnought, I've always imagined them as two separate bits when it comes to modelling them as an item. So the legs and then the body. Because as much as it is a humanoid-looking thing, it is also a vehicle that is piloted by a dismembered corpse, effectively, in a sarcophagus. So when it's moving forward, I imagine the legs to be moving forward, and the body is rotating and firing and doing whatever it does, if that makes any sense. So I've always imagined them moving like that. And with the Redemptor kit, you can make it look like the legs are walking. It just looks a whole lot better. I think I always think back to the Dawn of War, the first video.
Yeah.
Where the Dreadnought's moving along and its upper body's spinning and firing. I really like that. So I try to get that pose and idea in. But I think when it comes to robots, and we spoke about this a lot in Titanicus, I'm not a keen fan on the ridiculous hero-posed big walkers, because as much as the rule of cool applies and they look great, I try to make my models look as realistic as possible, and the weight of these things is ridiculous. I mean, if a Challenger 2 is kicking around over 50, I think it's something like 70 tons or something like that, then a Redemptor Dreadnought's going to be over 100 tons. And it's not going to be pirouetting on one leg. It's made out of ceramite. So I think there needs to be a weight to them. So, but I'm glad I was really chuffed with him. It's the first time I'd used the airbrush to do like panel shading. I thought it was a good opportunity to have a go at that. But I didn't want to hit it too hard, so I used it as a pre-shade rather than an actual shade, and then went up with a bit of highlighting. So I was quite happy with how that came out, actually.
And you went for glowy plasma, which has been very well received.
Yeah.
And you used the technique from Mike
Ingram, yeah. So after doing the plasma on my Rune Priest, which I'm still pretty proud of, but he made a few suggestions, and then I incorporated those suggestions into the Dreadnought, and it looks so much more like it's glowing that I think I felt like I've kind of upgraded or leveled up with OSL. And then I applied the same principles to the Stormfang, like ice cannon thing, the Hellfrost cannon, and I think that worked really well too. So I'm really chuffed with it.
It's interesting, I think, because it's become, or it had become very popular to use OSL on plasma, en masse, on armies, as a quick way to try and do something funky.
Yeah.
But actually, the way that you, like Mike suggested, and you now do, you can't do it that way, can you?
No.
It's not airbrushing into the top, because the highlight is coming up from the bottom.
Yeah.
So it does take that bit longer, but it looks flipping ace.
I think it's worth it.
Freakily ace. I tell you what, last episode we did a shout out to Ericy.
Yep.
And he does the same. He does the same. He had it on that caliber for the Skitarii, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it looked brilliant. I remember saying to you, it looks like they put a light bulb in.
Yeah.
And then Mike was like, oh, by the way, this is how it works. And I was like, oh, cool.
Well, I went away and subscribed to his Patreon, actually.
Yes, I saw.
I've watched his first 2 videos, and if anyone wants, well, I think they're excellent. I think they're really, really excellent. I came away understanding some basic principles so much better, that, including object source lighting. So I'd had an idea with the Dreadnought, what he was talking about, with the suggestions he made. But then when I watched him do it from the ground up, with the Plague Marine and that really wicked White Scar, I was like, oh, yes. So now I feel a lot more confident with doing that technique. It's like I've said before, though, I don't want to overdo it on an army, because I think that sometimes that can ruin it, but I think there is a place for it, like plasma, where it should almost be done. I'm thinking with the Hellblasters, because I did those with an airbrush. I'm thinking of going back on maybe 1 or 2 of them that have got the weapons raised and putting the real glow in, so it looks like when they're sort of at ease, they're not powered up, and then when they raise their weapons, it sort of goes woo.
That's quite a good idea.
So it looks like it's about to fire. I'm trying to apply that principle. I might do it on 2, and then see whether it looks right as a squad, or whether it just looks like I couldn't be asked to do it. Yeah, so I really highly recommend Mike Ingram's or Mezgike's Patreon, because it felt like sitting down and having a chat with a mate about how to do it. I've come away feeling a lot stronger on it.
Well, and you quite clearly, it's really nice to see a distinct difference, isn't it? It's like it's not, so brush control is like years and years and years, or months and months or whatever, and it gradually improves. But you can literally go, I spoke to or messaged Mike Ingram, and I went from this, which looked good, to this, which is like, what the flipping heck, in one model.
Yeah.
Because it's a concept and it's a technique, and picking up ones of those, that's why I think these things online are great.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, just when we talked about hobby journeys in armies, and having got my Space Wolves out and put them side by side, so my long fangs, my Bloodclaw, then my long fangs, then my Hellblasters, then my Dreadnought. It's ridiculous.
But what's interesting, because I've previously said I'm not keen on armies like that change.
Yeah.
But as an army,
yeah,
it still works.
I think so.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think so. Like, not to take away from the fact that the newer ones are really, really good, but it does. It's because I've had the same thing with my Khorne Blood Reavers. If I put a Blood Reaver next to a Wrathmonger,
yeah,
it's like chalk and cheese. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But as part of an army, they work.
And I think when you're doing your long-term armies, like ours of Khorne and Space Wolves, they never stop. I'll always be adding to my Space Wolves. You'll always be adding to your Khorne. But when you're doing an army for a tournament, you can do the army and then almost shelve it and move on and then do the next army. And you see that a lot with people. They'll sell these beautiful armies because they want to do a new army for a tournament and they're funding their new army with their old army. And that's all. I don't think like that. I always do expansive projects. Like I tried to make all of my Space Marines for years Iron Snakes, and I ended up with a company of Iron Snakes. And my Space Wolves would be the same, but it does mean you get that gradation across them. Probably the biggest ones for me are my Black Templars, because that was right back when I got back into the hobby when I was in Southampton University, and my first ones are gopping. They are terrible. And then as I went on, they you can see the change really quickly over like a year or so. And I really wish that back then I'd had access to the same sort of internet awesome that we do now. Because all the advice and tips and how to do it would have been really useful.
So, talking about long projects then, so what's next on the Space Wolf list?
Terminators.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Probably not this month, February, but definitely then my next project. Space Wolf Terminators were the thing for me when I was a kid. The Wolfguard Terminators looked so much more badass than everybody else's Terminators. And the Space Wolf Codex was all out, and it was a big kind of, the year I started was the year the Space Wolves came out, if I haven't said that 1,000 times already. But that unit with the dude with the wolf pelt on his armour, I just loved it. I absolutely loved
wonderful
it.
Kit.
And I was really chuffed to get the 5 of them, because I only had one left, and then I bought off of a friend the full squad, so I'm well chuffed with that.
Oh yeah, sorry, we're talking about the metal. I was thinking about the dude, because they've reimagined
it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the metal one.
You're talking about the metal one. Yeah, well, they were great too.
And they were the first metal unit that I ever got. So my first kind of stuff was like the plastic starts kit, and then I had the Iron Priest. But then I saved up for ages and got the Wolfguard Terminators because I thought they were boss. So for me, looking at my Space Wolf army now, there's a real sort of missing element, which is the Wolfguard Terminators. And then I'll probably do the Aggressors and the Repulsor Dreadnought. Repulsor tank, sorry. Yeah. And now I'm feeling much more confident with vehicles. I want to really start to knock out the vehicles. When it comes to the Rhinos and the Predators and the Razorbacks, I am thinking of almost batch painting, like the chassis en masse.
The thing is, because you can lay down the main colour quickly.
Yeah.
Actually, if you were then to take all the other details and take away the parts of the tank that are painted in that quick way, what you'd be left with is about the same as a 28mm miniature on a Predator and a Rhino,
absolutely,
isn't it? So it's not, whilst it looks like a lot, it's not a lot more than painting 5. If you had 5 Rhinos, it's not a lot different
than a 5-man squad.
5-man squad. Yeah. It is a bit, but not a lot.
Yeah. And with that, I do really want to sit down, because I haven't got chipping fluid to work as well as I want it to work yet. I mean, I've got it to work, but nowhere near like I see people on the videos and they're just looks perfect. I need to do that. So I'll probably mess around with a few pieces of Necromunda scenery or something to get that sorted. Yeah, so that's my Space Wars. The Stormfang, I know I could say this about the Dreadnought is a vehicle, but the Stormfang really feels like my first vehicle in a long, long time. And I really wanted to see what the airbrush could do with it, so I really did the pre-shading on it, like they do on all of the Airfix kits, right into all of the gaps with the black, and then over it a bit with the greys, and then highlighted it with the grey, light grey, and then put the rust grey on, and I looked at it and thought, yes, absolutely, that's just made my life so much easier. To get that amount of shading across the model with a brush would have taken me weeks. Absolutely weeks.
Pre-shading with an airbrush is one of the light bulb moments.
Yeah.
So, that I got on my salamanders from when I went to the MKA course.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal.
Game changing, isn't it?
Yeah, because it gets that graduation as well.
Yeah.
And it is a massive.
And you can choose where you put the shade. I mean, I chose to do the panel variation on the Dreadnought because actually, when I stuck it under a light, there was an element of that kind of effect on it anyway. You know, light at the bottom of the panel, and even when the panel was at the top of the Dreadnought front, meeting the bit that comes in from the top, it was darker at the top than it was at the bottom. And I thought, well, okay, I'll do that then because it makes sense. But with a vehicle, I'm very much a zenithal shader kind of person because I think it makes a lot more sense to me than having all these great, and they look great and snazzy when people do it, but it doesn't look real. And for me, something has to look like it's a shrunk down version. That's where I'm heading for. One day I'll get there. But I was quite chuffed with the weathering as well on the Stormfang because it was a good chance to get lots of different things in, spread out across the model, and I was hoping it wasn't going to look a bit much.
No, I think so. You've got an option, haven't you? Really, you either because you could say, right, well, it's going to come in from outer space, so flipping everything's burning off that thing,
yeah,
and it's all just, and you could do that wonderfully, but there wouldn't be a lot of Space Wolf colour left of it, would there?
No.
But I think what you've chosen to do is great because it showcases it's a Space Wolf vehicle, but it's got enough on there and the little directional bits. Like distinctly, there's a panel, little yellow panel with a wolf's head, and there's like something running off back away from that corner, and it's just that little snapshot. Just it's going that way.
Movement.
Talking of which, we were talking about this, so. It looks like a brick that flies.
Yeah,
and you see
so
lots
good.
of comments about it being ridiculous. But I was looking at it on the shelf, and I sort of noticed what appeared to be grav plates. And suddenly, I turned to you, didn't I? I was like, I can see it then! And I could like really picture it sort of coming in like some kind of crazy ass war sled. And like the back end just drooping down a bit. But then on the back end, because the grav plate's towards the front.
Yeah.
But on the back end is where all the thrusters are.
Well, the thrusters underneath too.
Yeah, there's little ones under, and you can just see like everything going. You can almost imagine that they would just plummet it in, and like no power, nothing, just from, and then it all just cuts in at the last minute. And almost think like, like couple of blood claws would nick one or two and then have a go and just see who could actually, hit the floor and still be okay. So yeah, I quite like it now.
I never got it when I first saw it. I was like a lot of people. I saw the pictures and I was like, that looks terrible. Why? And then like I said before, seeing it in Warhammer World, that was a big moment for me because it made a lot more sense. Actually holding it in my hand though, it is the amount of grav plates on the bottom of it, without do a land speeder, like the amount, it's probably got as much as the repulsor tank really. So yeah, sorry, Primaris, we got there first. Love it.
Ace. So, covers off the hobby desk, I think.
It's like a shortest hobby desk, isn't it?
It is quite short hobby desk. But, short and sweet and all that.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, no, there is one thing I wanted to say. Basing, to come back to what you were saying earlier. When I based that Stormfang, I did that last night. It was the last thing I did. And it was an utter ache. And to the point where a lot of it's covered up because you can't see it, but the texture paint I put in, I didn't let dry. I just sort of did it with the hairdryer, and then it was all a bit, you could move it around with your finger, and I was like, well, it's dry enough to dry brush. And I did it. But I have come to the conclusion very much now that I am going to form my base either away from the model and do it at the same time as building it, or on the model, around the model itself, if I can get away with that, and then paint it at the end to finish it off, or at the same time as the model, because there's elements that tie it in, and I have been a bugger in the past for fine edge highlighting the feet of a Space Marine, only to stick it under gravel around it, and like, why did I even bother doing that? When it comes to basing, though, that Patreon by Mezgike was really interesting, because his first model, his Death Guard, are clearly like a quasi-army for him, I suppose. They're not very fast growing. He's got a fair few of them now. And he did that base really quickly. It was just sort of gravel and a checker plate and a few washes, and that was it, done. And the second model he did, he spent as long painting like this dead servo thing on it and all of the marble on it as he did painting other elements of the model. And that was I very often don't bother at all with painting stuff on bases. So, for example, if there's a skull on the base of something, that's getting dry brushed. That's very rarely gets painted. I might do like the final highlight and painted, because I just often don't see the point in an army, but it's really nice to watch someone sort of take a bit of time. And if you've seen his last two, one of them is the Frozen Primaris.
Yeah.
And now for his Archon, he's done like a viewing screen, so his Elder Lord dude is standing on like a glass plate and you can see his armada through it. Yeah. One day I might care enough about my character model to do that.
It's interesting talking about bases, because I saw Mike Colton today, and he said to me, there's somebody at the club and they're doing something and I can't decide whether it's genius or looks absolutely rubbish. And I was like, well, that's interesting. What is it? And he was like, well, with his bases, they're all on like clear plastic bases. And that made me smile, because obviously I've seen those and I spoke about that before. And it was just interesting really to talk to somebody else about it, because Mike was like, but it's cool because they all look like they're in a diorama every time they're on the board.
Yeah.
But then when you pick them up, it just looks shoddy. So I said to him, like, so I've come down, because I toyed with them for Silver Tower.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But in the end, and I think partly because I've started to enjoy basing more, so I feel like if all you ever do, which is fine, is sand your base and dry brush it, or just paint it green and put flock on it, there's not a lot of difference for me between that and a clear base.
Yeah.
But if you take what you've done with your Stormfang, or how I do my Khorne now, and the stuff you see where the base, it provides a setting for the miniature.
Yep.
Away from the gaming table as well. So I'm absolutely, the plastic acrylic base thing isn't for me, but I just thought it was interesting to talk about. So.
Excellent. So, let's move on to, Galaxy of War.
Absolutely. Welcome, listeners, to the grim darkness of the far future. There you go. A bit more sinister this week. Is that all right?
Yeah, not bad.
Good.
Getting there.
Yeah, it's coming along, isn't it? So, into the Galaxy of War. Loads of stuff has been pinging up. It's been the Heresy Weekender.
Yeah.
Hasn't it?
Yeah.
And just before the Heresy Weekender, we saw a new Primarch.
Yep.
Which has divided opinion once again. You never see that. So I think I would love to talk about him, because much like when Primaris came out, although in a much shorter period with Sanguinius, I went from to that's my angelic. I think that's appropriate for Sanguinius.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to hear what you think of Sanguinius. And no, it's not Russ. We know that.
So the only thing that I have with Sanguinius that I didn't like was his face. But then the Primarchs have all been sculpted with a very hard-edged, sort of aquiline face that is universal across the whole sculpt range. I think it's done by the same guys. And I think that's the look that they wanted to go for, that they're so hyper-masculine that all the cheekbones are all pronounced and they look like almost non-human, which they're not. And I've accepted that as a design style. Otherwise, I loved it. Because at the moment I saw it, I was like, that is Michelangelo kicking the crap out of the devil. Flat out. I love it. Not Michelangelo, Michael kicking the crap out of the devil. And now they've shown the new one where he is actually just absolutely spearing a great demon. I'm like, that is how the model is supposed to be. And the other basis for gaming, that is the real one. That's what it's all about. That with the spear particularly, because his hand position is much better. I love it. Absolutely love it. Really, really pleased with it. And I'm not a Blood Angel player. But yeah, it's excellent. But not the most exciting thing for me to come out of Forge World this weekend. They've released nice Space Wolf models and they are really awesome. I tell you, so wicked. I was like, oh my god! Oh, yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Everything I wanted the Death Sworn to be, and possibly a little more. There's a dude just carrying a massive, I think it's a stasis bomb. Like, just walking forward, it's no rush. Here you go, have this. This is for you. Because I don't mind if I die and you're gonna... Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Would like to see the guy doing the hacker at the back a little bit closer. Because he looks a bit odd sat at the back, and I think that's one where you're going to need to turn the angle, play around with the model a bit to get the position there. Yeah. Very happy with that.
I'm glad you're happy, obviously.
I've struggled so hard with the 30k Space Wolves.
But hopefully they'll provide like a linchpin now for your excitement.
Yeah.
Because obviously you love Space Wolves, but it has taken a bit of a barren, like you were going to say, with 30k. But there'll be like a linchpin now which you can build your excitement off.
Yeah.
That bit of the miniatures. Because, when you look at what you did on your Dreadnought with all the not Urkin stuff,
yeah,
and you look at the transfers that are available for 30k, a 30k Space Wolf army, before any models were done for it,
yeah,
could look wonderful. Yeah. And it is a shame that some of that opportunity hasn't been realised as maybe as you might have liked. But it's great to see that some of it has now, I think.
Those skull helms I just want... If anyone from Forge World is listening, I'd like a 10-pack of those, please. Yeah. Just flat out, just release them as a 10-pack, because... Oh, imagine... Oh, yeah.
Just to buy loads of Ulrich the Slayer.
Yes. Well, that's one of the things I love about the one that they've done, is they look like Ulrich the Slayer's helmet. Mm. So it makes that helmet feel like it's a real, like, heirloom of the chapter.
Yeah,
like,
this is great, the way I think of
this has come down through the ages, and it's like the last one. And only the wolf priests get them. I love that, because they've made it look so similar that it could well be his helmet. So, modelling his helmet onto him with one of those would be dead easy. Just stick that on, and put whatever else you want in his other hand. And people do that anyway. It's a great little simple conversion to replace his helmet holding hand with a plasma pistol and stick the helmet on his head. But yeah.
So I just want to whip back to Sanguinius.
Okay. I haven't done that.
I flipping love him. Yeah. And I didn't. When I saw the pose first, I was a bit like, what's going on here? I just couldn't quite see it. Then I saw the 360 unpainted, and I started to fall in love, and I was like, oh, that's great. Now I've seen it on that base. I said to you earlier, it's very rare for me, because whilst I enjoy painting now, compared to in the past when it was just a chore, I don't do this hobby to paint models. That's not why I collect. I collect because of story and collectiness and all sorts of things. But that is a model that I've seen, and I thought I would love to paint that and put it on the shelf because it looks fantastic. And like even I really like you can see the tears where he's torn off the wings off the demon. I think that's really cool. It's just wonderful. Interesting that one is limited and separate to the gaming one, because on all the other Primarchs, they've got a sort of a display base, admittedly not quite to that degree, but they've got a bit of a display base going on, haven't they? And then there's Russ and Magnus. But I know they get one you can get like to set them fighting each other. But have they got separate? Do they come with one? No, so they are the same. Yeah, so I was just going to say I can imagine them being quite expensive with the base as well.
Yeah, but that base is still available. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it is.
For Russ and Magnus.
Yeah, this one's limited though.
That'd be a shame if it was.
No, I'm sure it is. That's what they said. It's a limited release of him like that.
Oh, that's disappointing. That's why the cookie crumbles. That.
Yeah, but so I do.
If I ever turned around to do Blood Angels, I wouldn't be able to get hold of it. It'd be a shame.
So we've also seen Raldoran. Is it Raldoran? Raldoran.
Yeah.
So we've seen him. He looks very, very cool.
Wiping the blood off of his sword.
Yeah, and that's Ace.
Yeah.
That is Ace.
There was an Empire model.
Yes, there was, yeah.
I quite like that. Still got that kicking around somewhere, actually.
Have you?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really nice model. And White Scars. So Ben the Base is very excited because he does White Scars, and they've got Dreadnoughts, which is unusual for White Scars, but they do actually talk about that in the article. But they still say, there are still warriors that will go into Dreadnought. In fact, they said it says something like, we think that, the opportunity to go into a massive heavy walker that can kick ass and fire with guns or something, it just about makes up for not being able to ride a bike anymore. So they're pretty cool. The Praetors are stunning.
Yeah, they're very
That
nice.
running one with the...
Yeah.
Oh, he's lovely. And
they got their own, jet bike thing going on. Land
speeder, with more guns.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant. And they're also getting some Terminators, which look like they are going to be gorgeous.
Yeah.
They look really nice. So we've seen them. New Dreadnought drop pods come out at last.
Yeah.
That's good to see.
That is good to see.
That makes me want to do another army. Just because,
for those reasons.
Oh, I'm so stuck, man. I'm just like, I want to do World Eaters because I do them in 40k and my soul is like crying out to turn completely Chaos. But, and this is the problem, there's a little bit left. There's a glimmering light. And the colour that it's glimmering is ultramarine blue as well. And I'm like, so much. Like, you see those ones with the shields and the axes. Yeah. And Gilliman with his like, I'm awesome pose. And, I'm just like, I want to do it so bad, man. And then I read books like that Kelf book and I'm like, you word bearers in your face. I just want to kill them all. And, he's so cool. And so, yeah. And then, all the chaos comes and it's like, suppress it. It's like, get back in your box, you stupid bit of blue soul. And, yeah. So that's really hard to deal with.
I've been sending you pictures of World Eater armies.
I know! I know. And so that Mastodon you sent me a picture of, too much. So, but there's a Dreadnought with some kind of jump pack on it.
It's a Blood Angel one, yeah. That's a bit of not sure I like that.
I'm always loath to give an opinion on a miniature on the podcast because it records what you think and then a few episodes later I have to go back and go, I'm sorry I was wrong. But
I like the look of it. I like the concept of it. I never want to face that in battle. It's a massive lightning claw wielding...
But it looks ridiculous. It looks like it's got nozzles coming out of his arse that it's just going to go... just like that.
Oh dear.
But anyway.
One to see in person.
I'm sure when I see it in person, I'll love it. In fact, you know what they'll do?
What?
If they're listening. Because obviously their design is influenced by what we say. They'll just etch into the front of it, Citadel, and that's it, I'll buy it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, some awesome new stuff coming for Heresy, which is really good to see, actually.
I was going to say a minute ago that it's felt a while since the Heresy has had something, and now the Blood Angels have come and then the White Scars. There's a momentum, isn't there, now, that I feel it's nice to see.
And a giant mole.
Or just thrown into the mix as if to say, we finished these guys off, as those Space Wolves. I just think, yes. It feels like it's worth actually painting my Space Wolves.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do them in a completely different style than I do in my current Space Wolves. There's going to be a lot more just sort of zenithal work and then chip in and, really look like they've been in the Long War, because that's what they were in.
Yeah.
And then focusing on things like the heads, getting them painted nicely. Yeah, I think that's the last thing I need to finish off, to have an army for everything that we play. Yeah.
So anyway, because no one's really interested in you and your Space Wars, Necromunda. So there's a whole load of stuff been shown for Necromunda, including tiny rats with candles on their head, strapped with explosives.
One of them's got wheelchairs.
Yeah.
What is that?
Look, Cawdor will repurpose and sort of scavenge anything,
Apparently
even a rat with no back legs that can be put to use. A whole bunch of bounty hunters.
Yeah, and they are so nice. Now taken alongside the other bounty hunters, you have a much better range of bounty hunters than we only had like 3 or 4. Can't be that many. I don't think it was that many at all, really. 4 at the most, I think. And now you've got double that, and they're all different. You've got like that rich dude with the curly hair. You've got guy who looks like an Orlok with like bolter ammunition all over him. You got a dude with a hood over his head, a baghead man, and a floaty, massive fat dude. That is the most 40k thing. That's straight out of John Blanche's mind. That's like, here's the most terrific thing you could possibly imagine done. I want to paint that just because that is going to be all over Inquisitor 28. You can almost feel the Blanchitsu community going, I need that now. Yeah. I love it. But I think the thing that I'm so excited about is the squat.
Yeah. Because
that's not just one now. There's now 2.
Yeah.
And when there's 2, that means there's more. It's not like the last surviving squat in Necromunda. There's now squats. Period in Necromunda. Which means there are squats, at least on that planet, mate.
I know. Well, my mind did this when I opened Temporal Distort, which came with White Dwarf this month.
And it was, Space Marine, squats versus...
So not only was it acknowledging and celebrating Space Marine,
which we all secretly would love for Forge World to go on, here's an add-on for... Titanicus.
And it might not happen, but one of the things that's been nice over the last couple of years, actually, is that GW are acknowledging and celebrating things that they've done before.
Yeah.
More. So not only did it do that, it then did it with squats.
Yeah.
So that means that it's happy for its current, like anybody new, people that didn't know about squats, to know that squats are a thing.
Yeah.
Might be because they'll look at the models and be like, what the...
Well, there's those little fly, gunship things that look like the orcas from from
the little copter.
What's the name of that computer game? Command and Conquer.
Yes.
Oh, mate, yes. Please. Because the ones they've done for Necromunda look wicked. That big dwarfy looking dude with all the ammunition crates.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It's wonderful. So yeah, that's really good to see. And some really nice concept art for Ash Waste Nomad type stuff.
Yeah.
Like riding beasts and it is only concept art at that stage, but it's lovely to see.
Yeah. Yeah, Necromunda's becoming a real, much bigger beast, I think. I've come down, I think, having talked to Ben the Basil about it, I've kind of explaining all the ideas I had. I've decided on what I would like to do for my Necromunda gang. The one that really would catch me. Orlok. Done as like a biker gang.
Yes.
Probably, I haven't seen the back of their jackets, but probably with like a painted design on the back of their jackets. And then have them, so I'd use the Gene Stealer Cult bikes and do those up, maybe might turn them into choppers with like longer front span, and then have their base, their headquarters, done as like a drinking hole.
Yeah.
And the bikes lined up out front. So you can have missions where if they're attacked and they're inside, they've got to get outside and get on their bikes, and then you can have it outside the hive or inside the hive. I'm really excited about it. Like, I can feel it, like, taking root inside me. So that's something I nearly bought a box of Orloks the other day, actually. Nearly. Very nearly.
Excellent. Yeah. So, talking about the Gene Stealer's Cult bikes.
So that was a segue.
That was excellent.
I planted that.
That was excellent.
Professional. For a professional podcasting unit.
Yeah, all right. Go on then.
Well, no, I gave it to you. So
well, no,
now I've ruined it, dude. The segue's gone.
All gone wrong. That's what I do, dude. I bring the chaos.
Yeah. Well, the Gene Stealer Cults are with us now. Their range is all kind of effectively out, and clearly what they are and what their boxes are like. The bike box. We need to talk about the bike box. Has all of them in, apart from the sniper dude. And somebody posted when the picture first came up, I really hope that they are all in.
Yeah.
All in one box, and they were. I just think it's brilliant. Because I can see that now, like for my Orlok gang, they have one box. I think there's a lot going on with them that I really, really like. A lot of like little details that hint at Imperial technology that isn't in other Imperial forces, but you can imagine that they would be. Particular fan of the fact that they've got multiple heads and things like that. So there's a lot of, you can have the same character done 2 or 3 times. How much is the bike unit?
It's 3250.
That's not bad, is it?
No. The character's 2250, so
yeah,
balances out. But that's fine.
It's exciting, isn't it? What are they? The dice are circular. Oh no, they're not. They're black with a circle. Okay.
Yeah. That would have been an interesting approach to a dice.
Well, you can get ball dice that are weighted,
with
can't
weights,
you?
yeah.
Not that I trust them. Not at all.
You don't trust any dice, though. They all hate you.
They do.
It doesn't matter what shape they are.
True.
They could be flat with the 6, and you throw them down and they'd come up the other way.
I think, like I said, for me, the Gene Stealer Cults are exciting because I can see bits in all of the models that I would use. Yeah, like the guy with the command deck.
The Nexus.
All of them.
I like the Locust as well.
I can see something that I would use them for with all of them. That wouldn't be Gene Stealer Cults. So they're really multi-use models. I've got 2 squads of the Gene Stealer Cult, like trooper ones now, that I'm probably not going to use as Gene Stealer Cult. We're going to turn them into guardsmen.
Yeah?
Yeah. Different ilk of guardsmen. Yes.
Well, I like them too. I do like them. It's nice to see them fleshed out, isn't it?
The evil you just gave me then.
I didn't give you an evil.
Flash that one.
No limousines yet, though.
No. I really want a limousine. But maybe they decided to steer away from it. They've got the big, like, technical.
Oh yeah, they've got the, but you know what would be good? If they did, well, obviously it's all good anyway, but because we're hobbyists, we always want more. A rig, like a combat rig, like Ripley has in.
Oh yeah. Well, like Alien. A servo loader kind of thing.
Yeah. They would exist, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
In the
Nexus. Well, the Knights were like bigger versions of them, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. Well, somebody did that in Games Workshop Plymouth, did you see?
Yes.
They turned the Knight into a...
That did look very good, actually.
Used a bit of armature going on and a bit of something else. I think it worked pretty well. And they put drop pod, well, I want to call it wings, on a Valkyrie.
That looked good.
Yes, that did look good. Yeah. Really simple conversion that just... It looks like it could unfold or fold those wings. Yeah, I love that. It's very, very good. I should have taken a photograph of that. We could have put it on. I'll get Rob to take a photograph and we'll pop that on our show notes because that was really very special. Urban Conquest. You had a little flick through it.
Yeah, I had a quick look.
Well, anyone who knows me knows I absolutely love urban combat books. Urban Warfare, what was the last one too? City Fight and Cities of Death were the last two. I think for me, the thing that... It's nice to have a campaign box that helps you to run campaigns. And there is a lot of information in there. It's a decent sized book, half of which is background, half of it is rules. What I thought, when I talk about the positives, so that the box set is awesome. The models in it are awesome. The quality of everything is great. It's got some really cool ideas of how to actually run the campaign that I think is much better. That you effectively, you have this like wall hanging with card slots in. And then you deal a deck which creates your city and you put them on. And then the players have territories. So you can either scatter them across or have them in the centre. But it represents the city in a kind of gridded out way.
Oh, because they're the hive sprawls, aren't they? In Vigilus, yeah.
And then you play the games and then sort of manoeuvre around this board to take objectives. And on the right hand side, you have all of like things like stratagems and that kind of stuff that add into the mix. And I can see that being really dynamic, cool focal point to a campaign. The thing I like about it the most is that every time you deal a deck, you get a different environment. So the city changes every single time. You're not playing over the same map again and again, which I think is Firestorm suffered from a little bit. I'm pointing over there because that's where it is.
Yeah.
So I really like the mechanic that they've come up with, and I'm going to talk Ross and Marcus into playing a three-player game version of it. So I can like really test it out, use it, and see what we think of it. Because I like, when you're playing in a cub, I much prefer to hang everything on a narrative rather than play one or two games here and there and there not really much to it. So that's the positives about it. If anyone saw my video, I did talk about the things that I thought were drawbacks from my first impressions. First one being the player cards. I said I thought it was a bit of a shame that they weren't dry wiped, so you could write your name on it. But then, actually, the more I've thought about it, what you would do is you put them in the slots on the sheet, and then you dry wipe on the slots, which I think solves that problem quite nicely. The other thing which I still stand by is one of the things I loved about Cities of Death when it first came out was that it felt like it created a whole new way of playing the game. So the way you modelled everything was put on urban bases. In fact, with Cities of Death, the Vestroyans released as well. So they did the whole army to be a city fight army, and they did a whole Tau army in white and red as a city fight army. So, and they did lots of articles on how to make snipers and how to make sappers and all of that kind of stuff. I thought there was a bit of a lack of hobby in the book, which I know it's not a hobby in inverted commas product. It's a gaming product, but I would have liked to have seen that in there. Because I think it's been such an awesome part of the other two, the last two. But overall, I think it looks ace, and I'm gonna be playing it.
Well, I think it's going to be something that I'm going to pick up because I wasn't going to pick it up, but the book has got quite a lot of Vigilus in it.
Yeah.
And I've bought Vigilus.
Yeah.
And I want to buy the next Vigilus when that comes out, and I want to keep up to speed with what's happening on Vigilus.
Yeah.
And I don't think the book isn't hardback, which leads me to feel that it won't come out separately to the box.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I mean, the box is £60. It's not, I know £60 is a lot of money, but it's not like ridiculous, is it? It's not.
No, and I've actually thought you got in there.
If you look around, you can get it for £45.50.
Yeah. Can't
you? And you get a lot in there. I think it would be nice to get hold of some of the Basilicum type, the kill team scenery that you've got just because the scatter is very much that, isn't it? It's not. It's not scatter, Munitorum, or the other thing.
I saw on the back of one of their statues today that I've not seen the back of the statues from the the new city fight stuff. It's got like pressure gauges and cogs and pipe work on the back, as if those statues move.
Yeah,
like different times of the day or something. They're doing different things so that people feel like they're like a real presence.
That's cool, isn't it?
I can't see any other reason why there would be like pressure gauges on the back of them. Now in my head, I've got this idea that the heads move rather than watch people, and yeah, quite taken with that. It's pretty 40k, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, that brings us to the end of everything we wanted to talk about 40k, other than what our plans are for our own armies, but we've sort of covered that already. We have a date for the game that will tentatively sort of penciled in of March the 15th. We're looking to play like a narrative game, Space Wars versus Khorne, so about 1,750, which gives me some... I'm really chuffed with that number, actually, because it gives me some wiggle room with my list.
Good.
Rather than desperately trying to get stuff to fill it out.
Yeah.
I can now sort of look about what I want to get rid of. 1,750 is a tough number to fit Grimnar in, though.
It's not tough for Khorne. Not now he went down by 40 points.
On that bombshell, we'll see you in the mortal realms. Welcome back, guys. We are in the mortal realms, and I've got my Grotz, dude. My Gretchen.
I know.
Goblins.
Lots of excitement.
So I've been very lucky for my birthday. I've got almost everything I wanted, which was pretty much the entire Gloomspite Gitz range, if I'm being honest. And I'm busily kind of trying to put together what I've wanted. But actually, it's such a large range of models that I want one of everything, which makes it, the army list writing, a bit of a challenge, really, because I feel like I wanted a squig army, but now I don't really want a squig army because the trolls look amazing. And believe me, I am the biggest fan of the old trolls. I love the new ones.
Yeah, they're ace.
Absolutely brilliant. So the army that I'm currently sort of got working on is a bit of everything at the moment, and it's going to be my project over the next couple of months. So they need finishing.
Yeah, I saw them. I spotted them as we came in.
Yeah, they're my Ard boys. I want another unit of 10 done. So they've had their airbrushing done. One of the things I love about this airbrushing with the Oryx is that once I've put it down, I don't really care about it. I don't mind if it gets damaged or dirty, because
that's what it's going to be.
That's the concept of the whole army, is that it's white that's damaged and dirty. So they're sitting ready to go. Probably wouldn't mind doing a few other things, but anyway, it's going to be a couple of months of getting out my grot box and pulling out all of them together and sorting them, because I'm full into getting them.
So is that what you're doing this month?
Yeah. Probably next month as well, unless they bring in. But I'm going to intersperse them. So I'm going to do grot unit, probably a black stone fortress model.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so go back and forward between the two, and I'll probably do that one model like one night or something, and work my way through the box to keep it a bit fresh. So, and then when I've done those, then take stock and see where I am, and plan my next sort of plan of attack. Probably go on to a 40k army, and then do the same with Shadespire models.
Yep.
Or Shadespire and Silver Tower models.
Yep.
So, to do it
that's
that way.
That's a good way. That's actually what I've done.
Yeah.
Like, from your advice, without really thinking about it, I'm doing that with Silver Tower.
The first thing I need to do with my grots is to get them all out, all the ones I've painted, and have a look to see, because I've got 40 of them painted, and have a look to see how I can tie them into my destruction theme.
Yeah.
Which I'm thinking of changing the cloaks So there's to one of two colours, so either like a really grubby white or red. And the shields, get rid of the yellow, change that to red and white, and do the bases so they all fit in with the...
So largely repainting them.
Yeah, well, it depends on whether, like, when I've got them all out, I'm going to stick them next to my Oryx, my Iron Jaws, and see how they feel, the colours, because I wanted them to be brown, so I wanted them to look like dirty rags, effectively. What I will probably do, rather than actually repaint the whole hood, is put like dags on them, like little spiky bits, or a few flames on the leaders, add a bit of detail, and leave it at that, really. I'm not going to be leaving out my old Grotz models.
No.
I have a unit of squig herders, and...
Well, I don't think you need to. I
squig
think
hoppers.
They will...
Yeah, balance in with the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then do it that way. Yeah. There is one model I have yet to pick up that I really want. It's the old war boss with the whopping great squig on the chains. Yeah, that's got to happen, because I love him. Because it's basically just a giant mouth on legs that the Grotz field feeds. Yeah, so that's my plan for this month.
Did you get a Mangler squig?
I did.
Yeah.
I'm going to have two.
Yeah.
One with a loon boss, one without.
Wait, the loon boss rides the Mangler squig? Oh, amazing. I thought the kit made a loon boss on a squig, not a loon boss on a Mangler squig.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I've got the loon boss on a squig, the old model.
Yeah.
I've got that. So I'll be using that. I'll be able to do the squig detachment, or battalion, or whatever they call them. So get the codex out.
It's a war scroll battalion that you'll find in the battle tome.
Yeah. No, leave me alone.
Not a squig detachment in a codex.
Squig-a-lunch. So one loon boss on Mangler squig, or one loon boss on Giant Cave squig, so I'll be able to pull that off. And then 0 to 3 loon bosses on Giant Cave squig. So if I build the loon boss on the Mangler squig, and then a loon boss on a Cave squig, and then one squig rider stampede, and then another Mangler squig, and then up to 2 squig herd units. So really all I need is a Mangler squig. Well, even then I don't need to have the loon bosses, so I've got the sort of basics of it.
So the squig rider stampede, is that just a unit?
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was like a name for another war scroll battalion.
That's a very good question.
Because that's sometimes how it happens, isn't it? Oh, squig hoppers.
No, you won't be right. So hang on.
There's got to be another battalion in here somewhere.
Flicky flick. Sorry, guys. Right. Squig rider stampede. So 2 to 3 units of squig hoppers.
Right. So you need 2 units of squig hoppers instead of 1. That's all right, though, isn't it?
Well, I've got the old unit and the new unit.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I've got that covered. I can do probably quite a lot of the other stuff as well. The Gobblepalooza, I'm going to leave that for...
Can you... Oh, yeah, you can.
Buy them separately.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's brilliant. They are wonderful.
They are, and actually...
Where's the one that's brewing stuff? He's the best. He's my
Brugit.
favourite. Yeah, him. Look how grumpy he looks.
Yeah. Love it. I think I want to leave those, though, until I've got the bulk of the army down, and then choose which, how to accent the army, because I did the Fungoid Cave Shaman, whatever he was called, when he was in Malign Portent, so I've got, like, that dude already. And
is it Stink Mullet?
Yeah, Skink Mullet.
Yeah.
Stink Mullet? Oh, I don't know. You got me the Loon Boss today. Like, by far my favourite model in the range. So I'm really excited about that. Have him as a sort of on-foot leader, but... Yes. One thing I've never got is Fanatics. So I don't have any of the old Fanatics.
Oh.
Even, like, the last ones in plastic.
These, actually, are a wonderful snapshot. If you get the previous ones in plastic and the current ones in plastic, of how
far we've come,
It's just mad.
I'm have been looking around to see if I can get the old ones in plastic, but they don't seem to be.
To be honest, because I remember feeling that the old ones in plastic were a step down in quality to the metal ones before that. Because before that, there was other metal ones. Then they did metal ones that looked really ace. And then I felt like the plastic ones were a step down. But now, these plastic ones are like brilliant.
I just feel like I've missed the fanatic. I feel like I've missed.
You've not got fanatic enough about goblins.
No. One of the things I've really loved about the goblins is the back of the box. You know, the back of the boxes have like a little sort of catchphrase. On to kind of give people an idea of what they are. Like the ones on the back of the. Oh god, they're so funny. The fanatics are the lunatic whirlwinds of death or something like that. I just love it. Absolutely brilliant. But imagine that loon boss painted in white and red like my.
Oh yeah, he'll fit in. He'll fit in so nice. He'll look great.
Yeah. What I am sad about, there's no scuttlings.
Is there not?
No, there isn't, and I was really surprised about that. Not anywhere.
That's a real surprise. That particularly surprises me because the other spider stuff is in there.
Yeah. Yep, the other spider stuff is in there. And that one of the Gobbapalooza is a scuttling.
Yeah.
Spiker is a scuttling. So I don't know why they haven't done that. And I don't know how I'm going to include them in it.
They must. They'll have a war scroll, I would have thought, so you could have them as allies.
Yeah?
I would have thought so.
I'm surprised that they're not in here, to be honest.
I am surprised. I expected them to be in there. To be honest, I actually expected the spider goblins not to be
in here. Yeah,
in here at all.
Yeah, the other thing that I've noticed is that the old sort of standard trolls aren't in here that I can see. You know, you had like the standard troll. I've had to got one right here.
Yeah, I've seen him up there. Yeah,
him that came with Skull Pass. There's the plastic one, and they did him. They're not in here, which I find a bit weird as well.
That is a bit weird.
So I'm not really sure how to include them. So I might just finish them off and have it. I don't know. So at the moment we've got the Fellwater and the Rock Guts, which are both excellent models. So, and I'm going to try and pick both of them up. But I'm just a bit surprised that they don't have those in there. So, but there's probably a war scroll for them somewhere.
Well, I would have thought so. That's what I was just looking for, actually, but I couldn't find it quite easily. So maybe I'll have a flick through
later. And
see what we can find.
In my head, I have no concept of this ever being designed as a tournament list. It's just going to be a horde of green.
Yeah, but the great thing is, because you will collect everything, you'll be able to then pick out of it an effective list if you want. And also, we've spoken about before many times, neither of us, thankfully, get our hobby buzz from being like the pinnacle of tournament play. Thank goodness, because we would do something else.
When they asked us on Warhammer TV what game we wanted to play, and if we wanted to play a match play, they'd get a tournament player in. I was like, no, we don't need that. They'd be like, oh, now Ben is. I have no idea what he's doing or why he's doing it.
Yeah, but it's nice to have an army that is. You don't just get smashed all the time, because you want to play a game. You want to enjoy it, don't you?
Yeah, but at the same time, I've always found with my Oryx that I don't really care what happens. I know that sounds really stupid, but like I've said before, I find them a little bit like a wind-up toy.
Yeah.
You just set them on a line and then press go and then see what happens. And it's the outcome is always amusing. You know, even if they get stomped, there's a narrative to it that I enjoy. I'm not sure Dan Wosley enjoyed it as my more crusher blood of his guys, but I enjoy playing them because I don't I don't invest in them in a kind of winning way. Whereas when I'm playing with other armies, like the Stormcast, I get a bit like, oh, I need to win this because, you know, I don't know.
Because you're the Stormcast.
Because I'm the Stormcast.
You're fighting for Sigma.
Yeah. Whereas the Goblins...
and the good of all things.
The Greenskins, the fact that they're on the board means that they've won anyway. They get to have a scrap and they've won. You know,
no, that's fair.
They've turned up and had a bit of a laugh and that's the end of it. Do you know what I've just remembered that I had? That I bought on when it was made to order? Grom the Paunch.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So I can pop him in. That's quite exciting. I hadn't forgotten about him, actually. So,
are you going to get one of the colossal squigs?
Maybe. I was going to convert one of the endless spells into a colossal squig as well.
Were you?
Yeah.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? The big flying head.
Yeah. And there's this squig shooting goblin thing.
And the hag troll. Yeah. Forge Rod is in trouble. I might just buy the lot.
Why are Forge Rod in trouble? That's happiness for them.
Well, yeah.
You are in trouble.
I'm in trouble.
Don't tell Joe.
But I'm very... For me at the moment, I'm being very selective about what models I pick up to paint. Because I'm just killing myself with them. But the goblins were a thing. They had to be done. And I've gone a bit all out.
Well, and you did say you would, didn't you?
Yeah.
You knew that was what you were going to do.
One of the things I am interested... Have you ever... I don't know how many of these I'm going to paint. I'm going to drag the bag out. I can't get to it. Do you remember the old orcs from the Warhammer box set where it's Empire versus Orcs?
Yeah, like all very similar pose.
Yeah.
Weapons held over their
I have
heads.
probably got 100 of them. I've got a vast number of them that I've inherited from working in Games Workshop. And when they were chucking them all out, I picked a whole bunch off of them second hand because they were going for dirt cheap. I don't know what to do with them.
Well,
because back then that was like a simple plastic orc, and it was a huge horde army, and it looked kind of good having them all running down the battlefield waving their arms over their head. But now there's so much other awesome. I don't know whether to paint. I think of what I'll do. I think I've just answered my own questions. I'll paint enough to fill up what the old box set was, and then leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, firstly, you're probably going to want to do that because you want to do that, don't you, with the box sets? But secondly, there's 2 likely future small hobbyists in your house. I've got one and getting another one. So there's going to be ample opportunity to use those models for learning and showing. Because at some point, dude, we are going to be fully engaged in intro games and painting with our own children.
Yeah.
Interestingly, can't find the Scutlings in that War Scroll building thing.
Really?
So whether they're a concept that they've sort of thought, maybe not.
We'll keep that to Shadespire. Shadespire. Silver Tower. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, I quite like them.
Yeah, me too. Well, I just painted them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, the other thing we were going to talk about briefly is I've bought a ticket to go to another one of Big's Age of Sigmar events.
Yeah.
The same one that I came last time, that you came up to. That you caused 28 mortal wounds with the Foot of Gork.
I did.
You did.
The Foot of Gork is so awesome.
So I'm currently painting flesh hounds because I want to have 15 of them. So my army list at the moment, my plan is to have my Bloodthirster, my Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster. So he's a big chunk, 320 points of the army.
It's a 1,000-point army.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big chunk. 30 Bloodletters, so that's another big chunk.
What is it with you and whopping units of Bloodletters?
I like them.
Okay, yeah. So a big unwieldy useless unit of Bloodletters, yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a minute. Karanak, the hound, and 2 units of 5 flesh hounds. But then Karanak, if he's within 8 inches of an enemy, of the enemy hero that at the start of the game he chooses as his prey, at the end of the movement phase, can bring in 5 flesh hounds
for free.
So
That's filthy.
it is, but I think that's probably harder than you might think.
Within how far?
I think I said 8, but I think it's 10 inches. Or 8. It might
You've
be
got to
8.
get right up there.
You've got to be in there. That hero mustn't die beforehand.
Yeah.
Be shielded by loads of stuff so you can't get there. And then when the hounds arrive, they've got to be wholly within 12 inches of Karanak, but outside of 9 inches of the enemy. So it's not as straightforward as...
That's quite fiddly placing.
Yeah, but...
Do they just appear? Do they have to come on from a table edge?
No, they just appear.
They just appear.
But Karanak is awesome on his own. So the reason that I said we'll talk about that in a minute with the bloodletters is, well, I've been using my bloodletters constantly. What I found is I'm trying to get them to kill everything at once and spreading them out, which is just not working. And B, I've been
whinging about the length of their swords.
Yeah, I do that all the time. But anyway, you convinced me on the last podcast. It's fine. So, B, I've been like, I've got to get into combat and going first and just running across the board, even though it doesn't get me where I want to be because I can't reach, or I can only just reach, and it's not as well positioned.
Yeah.
So I've changed the way I approach that, and also that Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster is just a game changer.
Yeah.
Because the ability to run and charge is just phenomenal for positioning.
Yeah.
He's also very powerful in himself. So yeah, I'm good about it. I'm quite excited actually because
are you breaking down that 30 into separate units, or are you just sticking
they'll
one
build them as one
blob?
Because you get a points reduction. So I couldn't afford to do it if I did it that way. But I'm quite excited because, again, I'm picking an army where I haven't got everything painted yet, but providing I get the hounds done, which my intention is to paint one unit this month, at the beginning of this month, sorry, because it's now February, isn't it? So they should be done in the next couple of days. Paint another unit at the sort of midpoint. So I'll paint hounds, then I'm going to paint something else, then I'm going to paint some hounds, something else, and some more hounds.
Yeah.
And obviously Karen out. But providing I can get that done, I'm going to go to the tournament with the list that I have written and thought about tactically. So I know, like, we always laugh, don't we, because I go to these tournaments and I do rubbish and stuff, but
you write the list the night before, so you kind of have it
and I write it out of the stuff I've got.
Yeah.
Whereas
you've created this list.
This is something I'm going to have created, and it's the same. That's what, like, I really enjoy using my Khorne army for AOS now, because it's not like top tier crazy, and I'm not a fantastic general by any means, but it's the list I want to take, which makes a big difference. And it's difficult sometimes to marry it up, because actually the list you want to take might not be the models you want to paint.
Which is the opposite way of how I do that. I always paint the models I want
to
paint.
Yeah, exactly. And I do that as well.
Yeah.
But then I get frustrated when I get onto the table and the game isn't as enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think I talked about it a lot before, about like maneuverability. I like an army that can move around because I like to be able to have options and choices on what I want to do on the gaming board, which is why I'm going to be painting bikers and Helldrakes for my Khorne army. So yeah, I am excited to go. Dan's going, Tom's hopefully going, Ben Base is going, and I really hope I don't come last. We'll find out. It's the 10th of March. Yeah. No, 9th of March. So yeah.
I'm not going.
No. Because you're going away.
I'm going away.
Do some painting.
I'm going to go, yeah. I'm really excited about that.
I know. But I think that's a great cliffhanger to leave them for next holiday.
Oh, right, yeah, okay. Why are we whispering?
So they don't hear.
Okay, all right. Awesome. So, that's Age of Sigmar, isn't it?
No. Mordheim.
What about Mordheim?
I am going to play some Mordheim.
No. Right. Have you actually decided I'm going to play some Mordheim because you got the rule book, you've been reading it, you've been looking at stuff online, or did you just see some smashed up foreground buildings today and had a Mordheim moment?
The first option.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So Chris is really excited about Mordheim.
Oh, if Chris is involved.
And has been talking about it over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Right? And then I was looking at my foreground buildings and talking to him, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're perfect. But we could do with some ruined ones.
Yeah.
And then we could do with some crates and things to climb over.
Yeah, yeah.
And this was a few weeks ago. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to Port and Colonel Bills will be there. And he always sells some foreground. What?
So you're telling me that was planned today?
Absolutely. My intention was to go to his stall and get some foreground stuff.
Okay.
But then I sort of, when I saw it, because it was quite expensive, I sort of felt like, oh, I'm not fully doing it at the moment. But then I had to go back because I needed the loo. And I walked past and I had a look and I said to him, look, can you do me this, this and this for this price? And he did some calculating and he offered a counter a price and I was like, yeah, boom, I'll have that. So I've got that now. So, and we've got all the PDFs for Mordheim because there's, if you just search Mordheim PDF, every rule ever written relating to Mordheim in one place, which is really cool. That's one of the nice things about a game that's completely community supported at the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're going to do some Mordheim. I don't know how that's going to go and when it's going to even start, but that is the plan. We are doing it on round basis, though.
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, why not? I actually picked up. This is a 40k thing, but I picked up Shadow Wars, Armageddon Shadow Wars.
Oh yeah,
because I actually had very much what we just said. I had a little thing, it was in Bubs for a tenner, and I thought, do you know what the cool thing about that is? It's never going to change. It is a set of rules.
Yeah.
That is never going to. Whereas things like Kill Team have already now got commanders and arena, and there will be plenty more. So what turns out to be like a 1-book wonder ends up being a 15-book wonder, but Armageddon will never change.
No.
So that's why I picked it up.
So I'm doing Undead.
Using which models?
I've already got and painted the Necromancer model, the plastic Necromancer.
When did you paint that?
About 2 years ago when this happened the last time. And 3 ghouls, which are painted, based.
Why don't you use the Shadespire skeletons?
Because I want to use the Undead Warband, which is led by a vampire, because I've got the old vampire with the big wing.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah.
But
that's a nice model.
It's lovely, yeah. And I got him in metal as well.
Is he not out anymore?
I don't know. He might be. I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
He's a fan model.
But in that warband, you can't have skeletons.
Oh, right.
It has zombies. And the Games Workshop zombies.
Oh, crap. No.
They are lacking.
They are crap.
But there was a Kickstarter not long ago, which we spoke about, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because you sent me the stuff, didn't you? And it had some villagers, which is perfect. Yeah. And then it had zombie versions of the villagers.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to get some of them.
Oh, yes.
Because they're going to be ace. And then we're going to have villagers as well. And it's going to grow into something awesome. And I've always liked the idea, because originally the concept was, when we were going to do Frostgrave. That's what we were going to do.
They've got some nice, like, peasant, infantry models.
Mm-hmm. And so we were going to do that, but then we watched Frostgrave being played on YouTube, and it looked really boring. So I haven't tried it. So if you do play Frostgrave and it's great, great. I'm glad. And if you're thinking of picking it up, look at it for yourselves. But we didn't think it was much cop, so we thought we'd do Mordheim. And the idea was going to be, it was sort of this city in like this ruined city in like a bubble realm. So like all the realms of magic have created a realm.
Yeah.
Well, there was ice magic, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So we had this idea of like an ice magic bubble sitting outside of things because it was Frostgrave was the idea came from. And so all my models are based up snow. So everything's going to be snow.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get a 3x3 snow mat at some point. Not yet, because I've got the big room still. I don't need it. And with the foreground buildings, I'm going to like weather them up slightly with a bit of airbrush work and maybe a bit of snow on the roofs and stuff.
Yeah.
And do it like that.
Awesome.
So I have got like a real idea buzzing for it between Chris and I.
Yeah, I like the sound of it. I've always fancied Mordheim, but
I really like the idea of the progression games. Like I really enjoyed when I was doing Middle-earth battle companies.
Yeah.
That bit where you roll to see what you get is really exciting.
Yeah.
But I do like, you might be able to do this in Mordheim, I don't know. But I do like in that you can adjust the roll by spending renown, because it's nice to have a little bit of control.
I always find with things like Necromunda, Mordheim, that my characters just die. Last time I played Mordheim was on the computer on the PlayStation 4, and my main character ended up being one-armed.
Excellent.
Just lost an arm.
It's funny.
And I won that game. Like, I significantly won that game. He was the only one that died. He'd wiped out like 15 people. He bossed it. And then he lost an arm and became absolutely hopeless.
Nice.
Thanks for that. So I had this one-armed dude running around with a sword.
It's funny because when we were doing Lord of the Rings, Tom's elf captain in his first game lost his arm.
Did he? How do you model that?
Well, I think he just said it was like...
Elf magic heals.
Yeah, that's
grow an
probably
arm
what
back.
it did. I don't think we worried about the modelling side of it.
No. Right. Shall we move on to the community now, Squire?
I think we shall. Hail!
Good.
Glorious community.
Thanks for that. My ear hurts now.
Well, they are awesome.
They are absolutely awesome.
Our community is awesome. So, as normal, we will do some shout-outs from Instagram, and then some shout-outs from the 2P's hobby group.
Yep. Well,
But
actually,
not as normal, slightly different. Instead of the calendar this week, which will still be updated by my lovely assistant,
yep.
we are going to put that term over to an interview, because we had a great chance to speak to Jon Askham from Roll Dice Gaming, who's putting on a hobby expo up in Bristol. So I'm not going to talk too much about that now, because we have got an interview with that stuff in it shortly. So, Ben, Instagram.
Yep. So the first one, we've actually posted a post about this, but we do our shout outs on here as well. So some people don't follow us online. Rod's Mods. You used to work with us or know this chap, didn't you?
Yeah, so Rod is Games Workshop manager in Southampton. So when I was running Truro and a little bit for Bath, I think it was before the restructure, I was part of the cluster of stores, the region, that Southampton was in. So I know Rod through that, and he's great, really cool. In fact, I saw him last when I went to a Heresy event in Southampton.
Excellent.
And we walked down to the store. Yeah, brilliant. Really good guy.
But what I like about his Instagram account is it's very much a how to very simply paint models.
Yep.
And it's using a lot of the time for a lot of the stuff Primaris, and it's showing you how to achieve different colours. Effectively, I really like it because it's someone who's putting effort into an account to better the other people that read it.
Yeah.
And I think that is awesome because, you know, we have an amazing opportunity with the internet to improve each other and create just awesome hobby everywhere we look. And we all want to play games against people with lush painted armies, so that first 20 minutes is, oh mate, oh yeah, look at that. And you get those moments when you're sat playing and watching a Raven Guard Dreadnought striding towards your Iron Snakes, and all you can think of is, I love it.
Yeah.
Not, he's just about to kill me. It's just, that just looks gorgeous. So yeah, Rod's Mods, is the next one. And you're just going to have to give me a second now, because I'm not going to do my next one on Instagram. I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to go to YouTube, because the there's a couple of people I'd like to talk about. So the first one is, I'm sure a lot of people already follow or know, but Miniarch, Miniarchal. I've been watching a lot of his videos recently, recapping some of the ones he's done on blending, and he's just done a few new ones on blending. He did one with a soldering crew done not so long ago. I really like his stuff, mainly because he's got a great sense of humour, and I enjoy people who don't take themselves too seriously. And as tuition videos, I think they're really, really good. But one of the things I've been looking at, that's Miniarchal, is scenery building.
Yeah.
And there is a chap, and I'm just going to have to give me 1 second while I pull him out, because it's going to take me just a sec. I'm not as quick getting around YouTube as I am. Oh, where is he? It's inevitably like the one that you take the longest to get to. Maybe it's not.
Unfortunately, on our YouTube account, you have to scroll past masses and masses of trains and Baby Shark and various other things.
That's because you use our YouTube account for your entertaining your child.
Yes.
Or you. I'm not really sure. What, you know.
I don't know why either, really, because when I log it, when I put the telly on, because of the Apple telly, it asks me who's watching, my account or our account. And I always pick our account. I think it's just because I think it's funny.
I had just countless of In the Night Garden things for it, like ages.
Yeah, but to be fair, In the Night Garden is the next sort of world to be turned into a war game, so.
Okay, there's no response to that can even...
Those Hahoos, proper titans.
Oh my days.
Have you found it yet? Because the people are waiting, man.
Right, found it. Luke's APS. Right? Not only does this guy do really excellent videos on how to do simple stuff, he does really excellent videos on how to do complicated stuff. But this is, I suppose, a sort of plug. He's a terrain builder as his job. He makes terrain for people as a commission. And so he makes a set of products that he wants for his stuff and then sells them. So he does a whole range of phlox and grasses and clump foliage, and he tells you how he uses them and why he's designed them and what he's using other products. And I have always flocked like a wargamer. It sounds ridiculous. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I have never flocked like a terrain maker. And when I saw him using different colours and lengths of static grass, I nearly squeed with excitement because it created this board. And it would probably not work as a wargaming board, but as say like a Lord of the Rings mini table or like a diorama to put your models on, it's fabulous. But what he's really good at is saying when something is suitable. What I found in the videos I've watched of him, is saying when something is suitable for what it's suitable for. So he made it and went, this wouldn't be very good for wargaming. This is what I would do for wargaming. I was like, oh, yes, brilliant. So absolutely superb. I spent a significant amount of my time watching his videos the other day.
That sounds good, because I've been looking for... So when I'm hobbying, I always have something on.
Yeah.
And at the moment it's been Sherlock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before that it was Sex Education. the Netflix series, I should say. And at some point it was Discovery, Star Trek Discovery.
I've got a new episode of that to watch.
Yeah, well, I haven't watched any of the new one yet, so that's coming. But I do keep thinking to myself, I want to watch videos that teach me something. So I watched a lot of tank chats recently from Bovington. And I was watching...
I saw why there's tanks all over our YouTube.
That's why there's tanks, yeah. And I did watch some of Kenny Boucher from Next Level Painting as well, because he had some
just
cool
makes me
stuff
laugh.
and he made me laugh a lot. Yeah.
Do you know what? Kenny Boucher, right? I'll tell you what really irritates me about him is how he abuses his airbrush. Like, I've never seen anyone just... And it works perfectly. I do the slightest thing wrong with mine. It's like, no, I'm not working. It's like a printer. Mine is like a printer. Press print. No, I don't want to print. That thing is not a cheap airbrush. And I go to use it and it's like, I'm going to splutter now. I'm not going to give you a reason. There's nothing wrong with me. I wasn't doing it 5 minutes ago with the same paint, but now I'm going to splutter because I just hate you.
Good. Well, that's good to know. So yeah, it's good to hear about some videos I can watch on YouTube.
My mini rant on airbrushing.
Yeah.
And Kenny Boucher makes it look easy.
Yeah.
And he's funny to listen to.
Yes, he's very funny to listen to.
So yeah, do it. It's really good. Luke's
Yeah.
APS. Absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Good. And they're not long either, which is good because you don't want to spend like 2 hours watching how to do something. It's the sort of 10 to 20 minutes I found. And it's like, bosh, done. That's how you do it. So I watched one of his videos and I was like, oh, so how do you do that? Scroll through. Oh, he's got a video on how to do that.
Yeah.
And really enjoyed it. So I was lost there for hours.
Good.
Hours and hours. I have one last person to shout out because I know we shouted him out at Hobby Desk, but a lot of people come to this point to just listen to the community. And that's perfectly fine. That's why we sort of section these things out. Mike Ingram from Mezgike. I subscribed to him on Patreon, and I have been watching his videos and loved every minute of it. Absolutely excellent tuition videos. Really feels like you're sitting down and learning how to paint with a dude in Games Workshop. You know, it's really good. Has helped me hone my OSL immensely in the last couple of weeks. I feel like I've leveled up, like I've gone to a Morrowind or Skyrim trainer and given him money and, give me skills. I can't be bothered to do it myself. So I genuinely feel like I've read a skill manual and gained like multiple levels on a few things. So yeah, well worth having a look at, Mezgike or Mike Ingram.
Excellent. My turn. So, I have to shout this out. It is stunning, and the moment I saw it, I was like, I'm shouting it out. So I'm gonna do my shout-outs from the 2P's Hobby Forum. So, the Hobby Forum is a group that we created, alongside the Facebook page so people could interact. And we are loving it and seeing so much. And I just saw some stuff then and I was like, oh, flipping heck, I haven't commented on that and it's been up for 7 hours because I hadn't seen it because there's loads of stuff come in. So, Tim Barkley, and I hope I've pronounced that right, and I'm sorry if I haven't. He's written, hey everyone, long time listener, first time poster. Well, I am flipping glad you posted, my friend, because this is stunning. So this is his mixed order army.
Yeah.
Sylvaneth and Bretonnian.
Yeah.
Right. And talk about embracing Age of Sigmar with what you love, which was for him Sylvaneth. This is a Lady of the Lake theme.
Yep.
Now, have you looked at this?
I have, and I got really jealous of all of the Bretonnian models.
So, I was looking at it initially, and I thought, this is flipping wonderful. Look at all those greens, that works. Then I saw this, which is like the sort of Green Knight guy with the... I don't know where that horse is from, like ethereal horse that he's leaping through.
That's a mixture of a couple of horses, but that's the horse from the Nighthorns.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. I love all the foliage and stuff on the dryads, and I was looking at those and the bases, and I was like, oh, these are wonderful. And the archers, wonderful. Really like this guy on this flying Pegasus dude. And so I'm like, yeah, this is lovely. This is lovely. This is lovely. Love these sinister looking scythe. Those skulls are from the Skulls kit. They
are, yeah. So he's put one of the skulls from the Skulls kit
on the Kurnoth Hunters. There's done a few of them.
Yeah.
So
he
by this
boxes
point,
of skulls as you do, by the look of it.
Yeah. So by this point, I'm pretty excited. And then this happened. He's got a Lariel, right, on a water beetle.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the sword in the lake inside the water. Tim, that is flipping amazing, mate. I just love it. So, in case anybody hasn't realised, I really like this. Thank you so much, so much for sharing it. It is wonderful, and what a job. And I'd love to know. I'm sure you're probably just thinking, oh, goodness me, project done. But I'd love to know what you're doing next, mate, because it's really good. So thank you so much for taking the time to share that. And, of course, there's loads of other good stuff on there as well. Now that I've used up all my excitement on the water beetle. In particular, and I'm just scrolling up to find it because I thought it was very cool, is Rob Davis. So, this is one of the Godsworn Hunt models.
Yeah.
I just really like it. I think that the yellow works really well.
Yeah, I actually saw that and thought of doing the yellow.
Yeah. I really think that's very, very nice, mate. So, oh, look at the eyes as well. They're really good, aren't they? Like, glowing.
Yeah. Yeah, they are very good.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, so, really, really good stuff. So thank you to both of you guys. We are, talking about the hobby forum. So we've now closed for entries on the first month, January.
Painting competition.
For the painting competition for Arcane Power. So 13 entries on there. Thank you very, very much. I have put up a post and put it in the announcements for people to use in their likes to vote on a winner. And we'll announce that in episode 39.
That's a bragging rights win monthly. Yeah.
Yeah. Monthly's bragging rights. To be announced is getting something else cool. And then this month's is Grime. So that's open now. So anything you like, I'll be posting up some bits. I was going to do my Necromunda terrain, which I think is still where I'm going to go with that.
We want to see weathering.
Weathering's what we're going for. We did do,
or even just a nicely painted, grimy thing, like Nurgle or something like that. But it can be any model, any range.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
Don't just blow your nose into a tissue and take a photo. That's not what we're looking for.
That's really. Just Nurgle, isn't it?
That's just weird. But we did do some chats about weathering on some past episodes. So if you check out the show notes, and you'll be able to pick those out if you want to listen to those just in the hobby desk. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. So that's Grime. And then March will be something else that I have not decided yet. Really cool idea from Dickie Pierce, who's also in the hobby forum.
Yeah.
Doing like a lore writing competition.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, he did say about doing it for March's competition, but I think it would be nice to carry on the painting one each month, but also incorporate this in at some point.
Short story competition.
Yeah. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, I like that.
So, yeah.
We could create like a database of excellent stories.
Yeah. So if you haven't joined already, please do. Doesn't matter if you just want to join to start with to have a look, but, you know, all the guys interacting on there, thank you so much.
Yeah, really ditto. So before we move on to the interview, let's just dedicate a few minutes to Paul, because we were there today.
We were.
Once again, it's very good. Packed out with different... One of the things I love about Paul is you go in and it's a whole hall filled with different games.
Yeah.
And every table is different.
Yeah.
So there was ships, there was a whopping Lord of the Rings game, like massive, vast, sort of the size that you'd have expected at Games Day in years old. There was Star Wars Legion. Mm-hmm. Looked quite nice on the table. It's quite a big scale, really, when you actually see it out in gaming. There was an Aliens versus Predator game. They'd written the rules for themselves, but you were using the Protoss miniatures. That was quite interesting. A Vietnam game with a swooping aeroplane. Loads of stuff. Really awesome. Resident Evil board game being played. Outlands being played. So yeah, really cool event. Picked up a few things in the bringing by. If you watch out for it next year, because what would have been. We're recording now and assuming people are hearing it, but it's on tomorrow as well. So, awesome. Well done, guys. And now I think we'll hand over to ourselves past.
Yeah.
Who got to talk to Jon about an upcoming event. So we'll hand over to him. Hi guys, we're here with Jon Askham, who is one of the organisers for a rather exciting new venture up in Bristol called Roll Dice. and he's going to tell us all about it. Hi, John. How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good indeed. So, I don't know, do you want to give me my hobby background? Give me a bit of legitimacy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who do you think you are, John, running this awesome event?
Who do I think I am? Well, I'm hoping to prove that I'm somebody, but I could end up being a nobody. So let's see how it goes. I started my kind of adventures in sort of tabletop gaming, wargaming, like in 1996, I think. I was introduced to it by a friend from school whose brother had kind of come across a games workshop that was in our town, and
just found it in the back street.
Yeah, it kind of was. So I grew up in St Albans, and I think the Games Workshop St Albans is something like the third oldest GW,
right, yeah.
And it was certainly, I think it's the oldest that's in its kind of current location. So it's been in this kind of sort of tucked away little precinct in a sort of tucked away part of a tucked away town for quite a long time. I had a friend of mine at school, and we kind of, I went to his house, and his brother was painting some Space Marines, and I was just kind of I was kind of hooked after that. And I remember I kind of bullied my mum into taking me to this place, and I think like most parents, she was
in shock.
Oh yeah, shock, or I don't know. I think there was definitely that sense of she was happy for me doing something that wasn't, sat around inside, but perhaps it wasn't what they wanted me to be doing. But anyway, I was bought a box of the original kind of 5 monopose Marines and the paint set, and that was kind of it. And I painted them terribly.
Did you dunk one of them in the pot?
No, I never did. But I never undercoated them, so they were always really streaky, I seem to remember.
That's exactly the same set that I started with, but
I remember as well, they supplied on the back of I remember the one thing I do remember is I was on the back of the box, and they had you had the kind of painting guides of the paints that you could utilise on there, and these are how they're painted. And one of them was just being lightning blue. I was like, even at the time I was like, well, this bears no relevance to what's on the back of the box. It was only about 5 or 6 years later, it was, it was Ultramarines blue, it's been highlighted lightning blue, they gave you lightning blue in the paint set and nothing else. So.
The original heavy metal guides, especially by Mike McPhee, undercoat, base coat, some highlighting, perfect.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Just 4 stages is not enough, Mike.
No, I do remember that. I wholeheartedly remember that. I also remember, highlighting the, obviously green flock, goblin green base, and highlighting it with sunburst yellow.
I never bothered. I just flocked it and left it.
I was always a sort of gravel and static grass man. That was my jam. And that kind of just went from there, really. I played kind of all through my kind of like early teens and into my kind of late teens. I had a brief spell, much like yourselves, working for Games Workshop as well, which was an interesting experience, but it didn't last for one reason or another. But I had some kind of good times, and
it's a tough job. Retail is a tough job.
It kind of is, and it kind of is. At that time, I was, this was pre sort of single manager statuses of most of the stores, and we had, I think, 5 or 6 staff.
Oh, glory days!
Yes, we had a small shop. We had a manager, 2.5 full timers, and then 3 like kind of key staff. I think they called them.
Key timers, yeah.
Key timers, yes, exactly, yeah. And it was really good fun. And but I can kind of see how a few of us left, I think, because there was this sort of shift to employing 6 members of staff in a shop that probably doesn't cover the 6 members of staff wages, let alone any profit for the company. Yeah, kind of made a bit of sense. And I don't know if I kind of grew out of it. Well, I definitely didn't grow out of it because I've grown immediately back into it. But there was that classic period of time in kind of my early 20s where I was out discovering life and figuring out what I wanted to do, and I kind of moved away from the hobby. And then I was reintroduced 5 or 6 years ago when the original Heresy books kind of came out. I was given a Kindle for Christmas. And it was like, I think Horus Rising was one of the freebie books, and I was just like, I hadn't really kind of thought about anything GW related for such a long time. And, by this point I'd, had my own business, and I was kind of, had a house and
a few spare pennies.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of started reading, and that was it. I was kind of hooked again after that. And probably for the last sort of 5 years, it's been my sort of spare time has been sort of devoted to it. I moved from sort of, just north of London to the southwest a year or so ago, and
And you thought, what we need here is a massive event.
Well, there's kind of that. What I was most shocked by was I kind of thought at the time I was playing in a big club in kind of East London called Hate, which I'm sure some of your listeners will be aware of.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's a really thriving club, and it's got 1,000 members, and we were easily getting 60, 70 people every week, and it was kind of, and I was kind of thought I'm really going to miss this, and actually. When I moved, I discovered that there was even more of a kind of a thriving hobby community than I had ever imagined. And it was kind of so, what I was kind of really shocked, immediately I was playing with new clubs and new people and making kind of new friends, and everyone was kind of, the classic, just, united by their kind of like love of the hobby really. And by this point I'd started playing other game systems and other games and doing some RPGs and, kind of taking a bit more kind of interest in kind of, in not just the kind of the Warhammer side of things, but, I kind of did think that there was going to be, there was no, I like going to the kind of big shows and seeing the kind of new stuff, the stuff I'm not used to seeing, all the kind of third party producers, and having a weekend away with my mates and that sort of thing. And we did, the trips to Warhammer World and the, the kind of weekend tournaments, but that was kind of it really. And, I started sort of thinking to myself that, perhaps there should be sort of some sort of bigger event really. I mean, we're, for a bit of a backstory, we're here at kind of a more kind of like regional event today, and it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's there's a huge number of sort of, different demographics here playing a load of different games, and it's kind of really...
There's no two same games next to each other.
No, 100%. And everyone is clearly having a great time and kind of really enjoying themselves, and there's lots of kind of camaraderie and that sort of thing. And my other half, her background is in like huge, like big kind of multinational exhibitions, and she sort of started a sort of burgeoning events business a couple of years ago. And we, in our previous kind of business life, we were putting on kind of events to help sort of promote our business, and a lot of this was kind of more about kind of community engagement and sort of bringing people together with a mutual love of, in this case, cycling. And they were always kind of quite successful. And we kind of had this sort of idea sort of last autumn that perhaps we should look at kind of organising, I've been to Salute a number of times. I've even worked at Salute when I was working for GW, and that was a really, really great experience. And, I've been to sort of UK Games Expo and sort of a lot of regional shows, and seen that kind of, the kind of positivity it can kind of have on the kind of local hobby community, because it gives something for sort of people to focus on. There's a case of, I want to get, the number of times you've hit a painting deadline, not because you want to, because you think, Christ, I've got a tournament coming up in 6 weeks, and all I've got is like a pile of bare plastic sprues next to me. Or I've got a shopping cart on Forge World that's full of items I've not even yet purchased, and these things need to be on a tabletop in 3.5 weeks.
It's like a massive injection of excitement and energy, and
kind of really. And but also as well, like, I was thinking to myself, like, I live in Cornwall now, and if I want to go to a show in London, I've got to drive for 5.5 hours and really kind of think about it. I've got to plan it.
And going on the train for these things isn't easy when you've got to take your army with you.
No, especially when you've got to get on the Newquay branch line as well, because only about 3 trains a week, so you've really got to think long and hard about how and when you're going to do it. And it can end up costing a fortune. So we kind of had this idea that wouldn't it be great to put on a big kind of convention, and we kind of looked and like Bristol was the clear and obvious place to do it. It's nice and easy accessible for kind of a huge part of the country. Even if you are coming from London, you're only a couple of hours drive away, but also, coming over the bridge from sort of, from South and Mid Wales, it's not too far, and coming from the sticks where we are as well, it's kind of relatively easy. You can still get it from the Midlands kind of nice and easily, and it kind of just sort of spiraled from there really. And I spoke to you guys a little bit off mic earlier, but the thing that was so noticeable from the absolute offset is when we were sort of just kind of gauging the response before we kind of, because it costs time and effort even just to kind of investigate the idea.
Yeah.
People were just like thinking, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. That's all I kept hearing was, Bristol, brilliant, what a great idea. So, and then it became we kind of thought to ourselves, there's a real appetite for this, so let's try and make this happen. And this was in about sort of October last year, and it's kind of just gone from there, really. We secured a really, really good venue. Like, I think the venue is the thing that ultimately will kind of help make the event as good as we want it to be. It's going to be based at Bristol City FC's Ashton Gate Stadium, which I don't know if any of you are football or rugby or music fans. It's kind of a big kind of concert venue and used for kind of lots of sort of sporting events. But when it was refurbished a couple of years ago, they sort of built these huge exhibition concourse underneath the stands, and it's like no other kind of exhibition venue, mainly because the floor isn't covered in 400 layers of like carpet adhesive, like most exhibition venues are. But it's kind of really bright and open and airy, and yes, we're holding it in the middle of summer, but it's air conditioned. And because let's be honest, there's one thing that we know about going to any wargaming or miniatures or any kind of event, it gets hot.
Yeah.
It does get hot. So yeah, I mean, we kind of booked the venue, and then we were kind of committed by that point, really. So we really had to think about, what we were going to do and what we were going to give, kind of what the USP of the event was going to be. And really what we wanted to do was put on a kind of a show that can kind of appeal to everybody, really. If you're a miniatures gamer, we want you to kind of come and see some stuff that you really enjoy, but also maybe have a go at something a little bit different. Yeah. So the exhibitors were kind of, we've currently got on board, and that's being added to on a pretty much daily basis at the moment. It is a broad swathe. There are going to be some board games there. There's going to be some CCGs, RPGs, miniature stuff, and kind of wargaming as well. I think that the wargaming aspect is kind of currently going to be a little bit at the forefront, but that's because of kind of the other stuff we've kind of got going on as well. So alongside the kind of exhibition aspect, we've got a big sort of, you call it like organised play, but really it's a kind of a tournament system. So we've got a 40k tournament, an AOS tournament. We've got a small-ish 30k narrative event, a Blood Bowl event, an Infinity event, and some others that we're kind of still to sort of be announced once we kind of get an idea of what the kind of organisers' requirements are and where we're going to put everybody. I think the thing that we figured out early enough was we're really confident we can put on a great event as a kind of an overall kind of umbrella, but can we put on a great 40k tournament within that on our own? Probably not. So we found some excellent partners. I'm sure a lot of your listeners will be familiar with Bristol Independent Gaming, or BIG as otherwise known as, and the guys from there are going to be running the tournament aspects of it, because I mean that's what they do, If everyone's been to their venue, you'll know it's a little shop tacked onto a massive kind of, sort of
warehouse
essentially. Warehouse full of tables, got really good quality terrain. And they're putting on an event for some game system every weekend for, 52 weekends of the year pretty much. So it's kind of in their DNA of their entire operation. So I think that, they're no better placed than anybody to kind of help deliver that. I think one of the most exciting things is very, very early I got in touch with kind of a club mate of mine who, again, I know a lot of people would be familiar with, a guy called Henry Steele, who, along with sort of, celebrity painter Andy Wardle, runs a group.
I don't know Andy Wardle.
Never heard of them. Run a group called Cole Paint, which they are kind of travelling the world and kind of teaching us all the virtues of how to hobby better. And they're going to be kind of looking after a massive kind of raft of we kind of class it as kind of like hobby classes. So we're going to have a big painting competition, which Andy and multiple Slayer Sword winner Richard Gray are going to be judging and kind of critiquing. So
I had to be picked off the floor when you told me that.
Yeah. So that'll be kind of quite cool, really. But they're also going to be running some kind of free to attend kind of like big sort of like painting sort of and hobby seminars over the weekend, and some kind of smaller, more intimate kind of paid for kind of classes as well. So you'll be able to come along, bring some miniatures, learn something, have your work kind of critiqued by really some of the best in the business, having some kind of good price and stuff on offer. And we just kind of want everyone to kind of come and have a really good time. That's what it's all about. It's about kind of bringing people together. We're definitely kind of pitching it as it's a community event. We know that if you've ever rolled some dice, regardless of what it's for, you're kind of part of this, really kind of exciting and diverse community. And we want people to be in a position where they can kind of come and have a good time. It's a weekend in a super place. Like Bristol's a fantastic city. We all know that, and it's
got some great people that live there.
It's got some great people that live there. Exactly, yeah. And it's also got some kind of, some kind of fantastic, kind of very diverse kind of hobbyists as well. Even just the people that I've been speaking to in terms of offering kind of help and support for the event. It's incredible the amount of kind of feedback that we've had. We've also got the kind of the evening venues. So the venue itself has a couple of kind of evening, or it's got a pizzeria and a big bar.
Sorry, what? Sorry,
it's got a pizzeria for pizza.
Pizzeria. Woo! I'm in.
It's got to serve pizza in case you're not aware, and also an area where they serve beers called a bar.
Whoa!
And we've booked those.
It's quite progressive.
Yeah, it's definitely progressive. I'm sure it's. I don't know the extent of the craft ales that will be on offer, but I'm sure there will be some.
No. Yeah. That went so well last time.
So, and we booked those exclusively like for the Saturday night. So basically the idea is that, we shut the doors to the kind of the exhibition aspect at about 6:00, and people can just kind of keep on, drinking and gaming all the way through. They've got some kind of lounges that we've got access to as well. So
I've had a look. So if people are interested, if you go on the Ashton Stadium .co.uk. You can have a look through all the rooms, and they look flipping amazing. They look really good.
We've kind of got the run of the place like exclusively for the entire weekend, and it's going to be. I think that we want to make it a really kind of a weekend where you can kind of just. I don't think escapism is necessarily the right word, but kind of immersion. Really, you can kind of come and spend your weekend with thousands of like-minded folk, and kind of make some new friends, and play some new games and buy some new stuff, and kind of see some just kind of really kind of get involved really. I've got so much to say on it that I'm kind of not sure what I've covered and what I haven't.
So I think at this point it's a good place to kind of summarise.
Yeah.
It's an awesome venue. We've had a look at it, and it looks ace.
Yeah.
And the kind of linchpin of it is a number of wargaming tournaments surrounded by exhibitors and an awesome painting hobby kind of section. Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, that's definitely the kind of crux of it, really. I mean, there's lots of other things that will be kind of going on kind of around the event. I mean, we're kind of still talking to a lot of people who've presented ideas of stuff they want to be doing over the weekend, and we really don't want to say no to anybody. If someone's coming to us with an idea of something that they want to do, they feel would be appropriate for the weekend, then we really desperately trying to say yes to everything. There is going to come a point where we're going to run out of room, I think, to be honest with you, more than anything. But
that's a good place to be, though.
Yeah, we've been. I don't want to say surprised is not the right word, because we always felt that there was the appetite for this, but we've been, I think, overwhelmed with the response. I think that, with the response from exhibitors is really key. There's a lot of people that really want to get involved, and it'll make it a good weekend. And also, but we're going to need to make sure that plenty of people kind of come along, otherwise it's not really going to work for everybody. So we've done our best to kind of keep the ticket prices really low. I mean, our weekend ticket is £10,
which is frankly ridiculous.
Yeah,
John. It's absolutely amazing. I think kind of considering
what it's not really a money making exercise. It's like it's about creating a kind of a really big community event that people like based the Southwest kind of can really be proud of. I think it's going to kind of showcase, our community in a completely different light, and we are going to make an effort to attract people who may be, kind of gaming curious.
Yeah,
I think as well, and people that are booking their tickets early as well. There's some incentives like goodie bags and stuff on offer for people that are getting involved early. There is a website which is rolldicegaming.com, which has got all of the players packs for the tournament side of things. Actually, it hasn't got the 30k players pack yet because we're still kind of discussing exactly what to do regarding it. We think we've kind of got it all nailed down, but we want to make sure that it's right before it goes up. You can buy tickets now. Some of the stuff like the 40k especially is actually starting to sell through quite quicker than we had anticipated, considering that it's we're still 6 months out from the event. Like we've already sold a lot more tickets than we had anticipated doing so by this time, considering we've not really began to push the event a huge amount as of yet. So I would encourage people, if they're looking to kind of participate in the tournaments, they're 80 players each for the 40k and for AOS.
That's pretty sizable.
It's pretty sizable, yeah. I mean, it's not, it's going to be, we're going to have, I think, across all 6 systems that we've currently got, we've currently got a framework for, we're going to have 300 players. So it's going to be good, but, it's going to be easily manageable. I mean, 80 players, 40 tables for 40k and 80 players, 40 tables for AOS, I don't think is kind of too big. We're not, we'd rather keep it sensible and put on a good event rather than trying to stretch ourselves and our partners too thin and end up people being disappointed. I think, we'd rather be in a position where we are kind of, under promising, over delivering than trying to say that, we're going to be putting on, the biggest event in the country or the biggest event in Europe and it kind of falls flat on its face. That's the last thing we want. And I really don't think we're in that position. And there's also a Facebook page, a Facebook event as well, which you can kind of, I'm sure you guys are sharing onto the 2P's page. You'll be able to kind of check it out from that. And obviously I'll be, you'll probably start to see a bit more in terms of kind of information about exhibitors and events kind of coming through in sort of early February as well. That's when we'd kind of started to plan to kind of release our initial exhibitor list and start ramping things up a little bit and kind of, just sort of driving a little bit more, driving a little bit more interest onto the Facebook page and likes. So the best thing to do is kind of keep in touch via there. And if anyone's got any questions or if someone has an idea about something that they'd like to see, just fire us an email or drop me a message. We are, like I said, we want to make a really inclusive event. And if you think that there's something there that you think would appeal, if you've got a group or a part of a society that wants to do something along, within the event, then I think that would be, like I said, we're open to absolutely everything, really.
I think we'll say it's, and obviously with a podcast, we say it's quite lucky because people don't have to see me, but you can't see your face,
they don't
but
know
you
how
can
lucky
see
they are.
but you can see the excitement. It's great. So Ben and I have met Jon face to face for the first time today, and it's clear, mate, that you are really pumped for this. I love the fact that fundamentally under it all, you've moved to the southwest and gone, it's a long way to go to a big event. I know, I'll just make my own. That is fantastic. So yeah, it is great to see the excitement. I think it's going to be cracking, long overdue, and just the person to be doing it, really.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah,
it's appreciated, definitely. I think if you can't be passionate about your hobby, then why is it your hobby? I think we want to see that kind of level of excitement on kind of everybody that kind of comes along to the weekend. We want people to kind of go away feeling inspired and pumped up. That's kind of the ultimate aim, really, above everything else, is to kind of it's to keep people enthused and to kind of what we want to ideally want people to be kind of going away with bundles of stuff that they've seen, just thinking, yeah, that's great, I want to get that, or I've seen this new game, I've demoed it and it's wicked, and I'm going to take it to my games club next week and we're all going to sit down and play it. I want to bully my friends into having a go, and that's kind of that level of enthusiasm is what we kind of we want to be showing over the weekend, and we're doing our best to kind of make sure that there's going to be a scenario where that is going to be achievable. So yeah,
brilliant,
good,
awesome. It's been really nice to meet you, Jon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And we will almost certainly promote the hell out of this.
Well, I really hope so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Ben, I watched Joe pencil it onto Ben's calendar.
Did you like my tactful?
Yeah.
Oh, there's this cool event that we were talking about.
Absolutely. So Ben is penciled that in. I will have. Well, it will be. It's 5 weeks after the due date of Hobbyist number 2. So we'll see. If I come, I will bring Hobbyist number 1 with me. I'll be bringing Joshua with me. Yeah. And we'll see. But it sounds absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? So
yeah,
good.
It might be quite nice to bring the boy along. But I think one of the things I quite liked about the sound of it is that it feels like he wants to make it into a community event. So the doors are going to be open late with a pizza
and a bar.
So it's going to be a great way for the Southwest community to get to know each other a bit better. So,
Absolutely.
awesome. Brilliant. So let's move on into the wilds.
The wilds.
I'm going to break out into Duke Nukem again. Born to be wild.
Born to be wild.
Hi guys, and we're on our last section now, Into the Wilds. I hopefully will have treated you to some Duke Nukem Into the Wilds clip. Excellent game from back in my childhood. Awesome. Did you ever play Duke Nukem?
A little bit, I think.
Yeah.
On the Nintendo 64.
No, I played it on the PC, but it might well have been on the Nintendo 64. So what are we going to talk about Into the Wilds today? So I have seen something quite exciting on Kickstarter. Came up today. For those who don't know Munchkin, it's a game designed by Steve Jackson, who was one of the founding members of Games Workshop. And it is a card game with an incredible sense of humour, and it's a bit of a kind of role-play narrative thing. Great artwork, really sort of weird-looking proportions or odd characters, but
It's very tongue-in-cheek, isn't it?
it's hugely tongue-in-cheek.
The bow and arrows is fantastic.
I think the one that made me literally choke on my Coke the first time I played was the breastplate. Just absolutely cracked me up. And they've just announced a board game with models based on the artwork for Munchkin, which I'm really excited about. I have to say, I am very, very excited about that. Because the models are so weird that you could paint them in a really cartoony style and sort of be cool with that. So I'm super excited. And actually the gameplay looked quite cool too. So one of the things about Munchkin is, you're building your story. Often I think it's hard to do that with card games and really imagine the sort of progressive narrative of it in a sense. But having it on the board game, I thought looked like that really helped with that. And you're working your way towards the end boss, and I think I'm probably going to give that one a shot, actually. And I think about it. Tristan liked the look of it, but then Tristan likes the look of anything. So, and as soon as you're in the house, suddenly Warhammer's his favouriteest thing in the whole universe. So, I don't know why you have that influence on anyone there.
No.
Did you see that? I showed you the video, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah. What did you think?
Yeah, I think it looked ace. I've enjoyed Munchkin in the past when I've played it. I've played a Munchkin board game before. Quite a lot. It's like a long board thing. It's very simplistic. There's no models for monsters and stuff. It's just the only models there's 5 Munchkins, I suppose.
Yeah.
Character. They're all identical except for the colour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I quite liked it.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Good fun. You done?
I'm done, yeah.
So, I just didn't want to talk over you.
Oh, shut up.
So I wanted to talk about armies, legions, and hordes. Or hordes, legions, and armies, it might be called, actually. Be good to get it right. But, yeah, look up both and you'll know. It'll be in the show notes. Probably. Dave Taylor. It's by Dave Taylor. So I did mention briefly in the hobby desk on episode 37 that I had this book.
Yeah.
So I've read it now, the whole thing. And it is really interesting, really good read. So there's some really nice armies in there. Really very inspirational stuff. Really lovely guard army done with the Rough Riders are riding Bretonnian horses, and all the guardsmen are built out of Bretonnian men-at-arms.
Oh yeah,
and they look very World War One, sort of trench fighter looking. So that's good. But
you'd be hard pushed to do that now, though.
Yeah, you would. But whilst the hobby is good, and there's no doubt, Dave Taylor is good at hobby. There's a lot.
He's a legend.
Yeah, absolutely.
He used to do a lot of the
terrain.
He always felt like he was a bit like the dude they kept in the warehouse full with empty sprues and just went create awesome. And that's what he did.
So the hobby stuff's really good. But there are lots of resources available for how to paint things.
Yeah.
What he talks about a lot is the kind of the mental thinking, I suppose, behind approaching a project.
Yeah.
And like loads of people struggle with motivation for painting, which is kind of funny really in a way, because it's supposed to be a hobby that you do just because you enjoy it. But, you know, I've been through it loads, and lots of people go through like finding motivation. And he talks about that. He talks about keeping a project diary. So I was talking to you about this earlier.
Yeah.
So say you see a piece of art and you think, wow, that looks great. Those tau look fantastic in that piece of art. I really like the way they're leaping down, and you get excited about that. And he talks about having your project book and capturing that excitement. What is it that's made you think this is what I want to do?
Yeah.
And then writing down what you want that to look like on the table. And that becomes something that you can refer back to when you are struggling with the motivation, and then write down painting recipes. He talks about building habits as well. So he talks about it with painting multiple models. So he's talking about one point. He's talking about he was painting the old Steel Legion troopers, but as chaos soldiers or something for a blood pack for a Gaunt's Ghost game.
Yeah,
and I think they were called the Shriven. I think that's what they were. But anyway, he was talking about how the first one was took him like 45 minutes because he was working out where all the brush strokes went and the colours. And by the end, he was painting like a dude in like 10 minutes because he wasn't wasting a single brush stroke, and he knew what he was doing, and he had like a big production line going. So he talks about that muscle memory and building up that, and the habit of doing that. And then the habit as well of getting into like painting a little bit each day, which is we've spoken about quite a bit. Yeah. And interestingly, when I was down last, I talked about this quite a lot. So on episode 37, and then over the next few days, because I wasn't at home, I found it very hard to do my 30 minutes. By the end of those few days, I was very grumpy. It was really interesting actually afterwards, reflecting. I was talking to Harry about it. It's like, I actually got like twitchy because I hadn't got that 30 minutes sat down doing some painting. And the reason I talk about being a habit is like they said, what they used to say in Games Workshop, because they talked about behaviours, and they used to say like to build a behaviour, you've got to do something 15 times in a row for it to become like a natural behavioural thing that you just do.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it 4 times in a row, you'll lose it. So like in Games Workshop, it was to do with like saying hello to people when they came in.
Yeah.
So if people came in and in 15 times you just like, hello, you'd start doing it naturally. But if you then didn't do it for the next 4 people,
you'd have to
fall out and you'd have to reform the habit again. And it's a similar thing with the 15 minutes painting. That's what he's talking about anyway, in there. And how to approach colours on different projects. So it's really very good. It's only £19 and it's a hardback, well presented book. The only little drawback in my view is for some reason the large army shots across the double page spread, they I don't know whether they're out of focus or something. They just don't appear as well. They don't look as crisp a picture as all the individual pictures. There is a flipping massive Custodes army in there as well. Like thousands and thousands of pounds worth of Custodes.
The new Custodes?
Yeah. The Forge World ones. There's 2 of those dropships.
Amazing.
To give you an idea. So yeah, it's really, really nice. Definitely worth picking up because, as I say, it's not expensive, and a lot of theory in there is really good. I'm looking forward to putting it towards something. Yeah. Maybe that ultramarine thing I was talking about earlier.
Well, I think that doing projects is really genuinely challenging, actually, because you can grind to a halt with something. Your Khorne army is a really good example where you just burnt yourself out, and then you don't do the hobby. But having a way of approaching it, I think I'm keen on reading it. I was hoping you were going to bring it up, actually.
I know, and it was silly, really. I didn't even think about it, to be honest. I'd put it away on the shelf by then.
Off £20, it sounds like it's worth picking up.
Yeah.
I love Dave Taylor. I think I used to obsess over the pictures of the boards that he'd built. I mean, this is going back before the miniature hall.
Yeah.
Was a miniature hall. I mean, before it was just like all of the heavy metal armies just out in cabinets, and yeah, it was fab, but nothing like what they have now. And I almost feel like I'd be surprised if he didn't have some involvement in the early days of that, because if he didn't, certainly his spirit is there.
Yeah.
It feels like his spirit's there, because it was the sort of thing that he was doing. I mean, do you remember like the board with the train on and, so good. Absolutely brilliant. So I'll probably pick that up. If it's only 20, I thought he was going to say it was like 50 quid or something.
And it's quite unique as well. And obviously, if people correct me if I'm wrong, by all means, but I can't recall another book that is the same subject matter, completely dedicated to this idea.
The Tower of Hobby.
Pardon?
The Tower of Hobby.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah. I'd be interested to read it. Yeah.
So, is that it?
Seems awfully short, but we've been focused on other things this week.
We did see terrain crates today, didn't we? Which looked very good.
You know what? Yeah, that's a very good idea, and we should cut out most of what we've just, that gap that we've just left. We didn't know. It sounded like we didn't know what we were doing, Dan. Like we hadn't planned it. No. Wow.
Yeah. Now.
We all know what you think of man.
Well, no, because I deliberately, because for lots of reasons, I don't talk about my feelings about that particularly on the podcast, so people might not know. But the people that know me, my friends near to me, know that I'm not a big fan of the Mantic games at all. In it. And a lot of it's not through experience of the game systems, but just general ethos and some of the stuff that I've seen and has happened in the past that I just don't like. So anyway, that aside, they have created Terrain Crate, which is lots and lots of the sort of filler, I suppose, for Dungeons and Dragons and stuff on battlefields that's like small, like little tents and barrels.
It's all
and
fantasy
crates.
to start with. Let's say that. Yeah.
No, there is a sci-fi one.
Oh, I haven't seen that, but
No.
the ones we saw today were fantasy.
Yeah, and it's really good, isn't it?
Well, I yes is the short answer to that. What I'm surprised about is they're not on sprues, so they seem to be a cast resin of some description or another. And so let's just take, for example, there's one called Camp, and it's a 20 quid box or 20 something quid box, and in it is the tents, roll mats, fireplaces, the sort of supply crates, all of that kind of stuff that you would have or expect around a campsite. There's another one which is sort of sorcerer's den or something like that, and it's filled with all the gubbins that you would find in a sorcerer's room. There's a library one with bookshelves, so there's lots of different options or versions of these kits, and I think they're great. I think they're fab value for money. Looking at the cast pieces, they're good quality. And I can see them having a lot of uses.
Yeah, and actually, I picked up some crates that are from Foreground today.
Yep.
And on the way to your house, I was thinking, maybe I should have got the Terrain Crate thing, which had crates and barrels and stuff in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, certainly, one day I'd love to really do a roleplay game, and I would definitely want to populate my dungeon with that stuff. I think it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've often roleplayed without a board. Like,
All in the mind.
All in the mind, yeah. And I like that, but then there's a huge part of me which I don't understand really. I think it's because I don't want to have to invest that much time into it, because it's already struggle enough as it is to paint all the models that I've got for the games. I've got, let alone for role playing. But when you see something like that, all of a sudden it feels like it's a an achievable thing. To put down some card tiles, because I've got a fair few of them, and then populate them with these things.
I find it helps with
immersion.
The immersion, really, of the environment around you. Like, you can often, and more so when combat happens.
Yeah.
So when you're not in combat, and the DM, if you're fortunate enough to have a DM that's able to give really nice descriptive stuff and can set the atmosphere, then that's great because you're thinking about that. But once a combat begins and you're starting thinking about that, then I feel like in my mind, my imagination narrows down to me and that combatant. And I like the like layout stuff to broaden that and see where it is in the bigger picture.
I don't often like getting rulesy with that though.
No.
I like it to represent it, but not be too much, because you can have. I think often you can get that. Oh yeah, but you can't see that because that cupboard's in the way. Or I don't like it getting too rulesy. But
starship scenery.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at those gun cabinets. Yeah, that's really good, isn't it? That table makes me think of Aliens.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Bishop? Love it. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? I think that's a quality offering, and for a good price as well.
Yep, very good.
And I can see that populating a lot of tables. What else have we got?
Starship doors.
But when you go through a door, if I'm going to roleplay anything, people have to make the noises. So, where was I going with this? Oh, do you know what they do remind me of? Hero Quest.
Yes.
Those bookcases, man. Oh yeah. Really, really cool.
They are, those bookcases.
When I saw them today, I did have this thing in my mind where I was like, do you know what would be really cool? To build a Hero Quest board. Like, properly build it.
Yeah.
With all the tiles.
Do you remember, Phil did the goblins in the pantry, trolls in the pantry or something, didn't he? And he built the board. Yeah. That was brilliant.
Yeah, but then I wanted to do the Gore Chosen board as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the Shadespire board. Can't see any of it happening soon, but... Well, there we go. I think that brings us to the end of our little jaunt into the wilds.
It does. As ever, just a big thank you to everyone that supports us generally, and particularly to our patrons as well, because it's just really nice of you, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Yes, it does.
It helps a lot. That's one of the things that we're looking for in the future is going to be, I think the video software we've got, because of you guys, is really very good. But we're going to hopefully, as time passes on, we'll be able to produce some better videos where games and I don't know where we're going to take that, but just us having a laugh, really, I think. But what I'm thinking of next is something like an interview mic, so we can do the shows properly and really, because at the moment we're doing them on our phone and it's not great. Anyway, we can find us on the 2P's podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We are on YouTube. Just search for the 2P's podcast, and there you'll find us.
And we have a website.
Yeah. We do have a website that populates with our show notes, painting guides, all sorts of nonsense on there.
It's 2psinthepod.com.
Yeah, Dan is going to do a series of articles on his Khorne army, but they just stuck as a draft with no title at the moment, Dan.
No, they're called Tales of a Cornishman.
Yeah, that's true.
That is their name. That's because Dan was that's his gem, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's good. So you never know, you might write an article.
It's going to be an ongoing hobby blog.
You have to start the hobby blog for it to be ongoing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a work in progress hobby blog at the moment.
It's got a blank page.
No, I've written a paragraph.
Wow. There you go. You never know. Might see that soon. Thank you, guys. And we'll see you for episode 39. We are closely approaching 40.
You're approaching 40 closer than me.
Shut up. Bye.
Bye.